everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the 404 show. Guess what? It's Friday, February 19th, 2016. Russ is here.
Yep.
And also back with our pre-Oscar show, the Mega Showdown.
I started too early with the clapping.
You ruined the build-up. Mr. Jordan Hoffman's back on the program.
It's a
pleasure to return to the 404.
Dude, I was saying this to Russ, 3 weeks after. People love you.
People are big fans
They
of
were
Jordan
like,
Hoffman.
bring back Jordan Hoffman. We
Right.
got to have him back right
Throw
away.
off Jeff and Russ and bring Jordan back.
I was like, 3 weeks is kind of soon. There's a big movie award show happening.
Yeah.
We need
and
10
I'm glad
polls.
you're here. Yeah. 10 poll events.
Otherwise, Jordan won't come out.
No, I come out for the 10 polls.
This
Exactly.
is great, man. Thanks for being back.
It's happy. And to the fans that wrote in, thank you. Please next time send gifts, chocolates,
Yes. Yeah.
or perhaps cards, anything like that.
Anything you got laying around
Yeah.
the house, we will take.
Good.
All
Well,
right.
I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to discuss the forthcoming Oscar award.
It's this Sunday, correct?
No, it's a
No,
week
it's-
from Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Which is why,
Yeah.
and I know that we have a prologue to get to first, which is why this is going to be a very helpful 404 show, because we're going to help the listening audience with their Oscar pool.
Which is such a big deal. I don't really join those as much as I used to because I have what some professionals might call a gambling problem. But
if you're at a party
Yes.
and you're not
No.
really invested in
No.
who's going to
No.
win, wouldn't
Yeah.
you do a pool?
oh, I'm throwing down $100.
Oh,
or
No,
whatever it is.
I don't want. No, this is.
see, this is a slippery slope.
I'm hoping that this is nobody loses a dime on this. This is for when you're kicking back.
Yeah.
And you just want to be the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
I don't want any money to exchange.
Sure.
Or if any money does exchange, I want 10%.
Exactly, and we're
Yeah.
not endorsing any kind
No,
of gambling
no,
whatsoever.
no.
And just know if you do happen to do that, obviously the 404 care of Jordan Hoffman gets a cut. Of
Right.
that.
We get a
so
big.
you're gonna make everybody sound like the educated film connoisseur in their Oscar party.
I hope so, because I did some research and I've been poking around, but I've also seen, as a working film critic, I've seen pretty much everything on the list, and I'm going to give you some insight.
Are the
And
votes in?
The votes are in.
When does that happen?
The votes, I think, or maybe the votes are in in a day or two.
Okay.
It's it's at the tail
So
end of the campaign.
we could swing the votes right now.
It's
Who knows?
possible.
It's
possible.
entirely possible this show has a direct impact on the
No.
outcome
The-
of all
the
those.
Are there
Direct-
any grown-ups movies that we could promote that are nominated?
the
Kevin James.
the way the swaying happens is there is so much soft graft and disgusting. There's no
But it's
money
not as
exchanges hands.
right, but it's not as bad as the Golden Globes, right?
No,
as I
it's
understand it.
not. But because that's really, and even that's gotten better. I've witnessed some stuff, and I'm not a voter. I'm in the New York Film Critics Circle, but that's pretty above board. But the Golden Globes is disgusting,
Because that's
even
only
this-
99 people. With the Oscars, you're
Yes.
dealing with
6,000
6,000
or so.
The Golden Globes, it's also a shit show on television as well.
Yeah, it's more fun than the Oscars.
It's
Yeah,
definitely
it's
more
more
fun
fun,
because
yeah.
it's much more loose.
It's
Yeah.
like the parody of the Oscars.
But
Yeah.
you I feel like every time I tune into that, and I don't do it for a while, I feel like the audio is always kind of shitty, and I also feel like people are just not paying attention.
Yeah,
a lot of people are drunk.
It's not a top of the line.
It's like a stunt production at this point. It's sort of like the MTV Movie Awards.
It's guerrilla,
yeah,
a little bit.
and they know. I mean, they're smart because they keep bringing Ricky Gervais back because they know it'll get internet views,
right.
Because he tears into everyone. But
Because he just smiles with those fangs, and he's just like, "I'm gonna shit on all you people."
I'm the last guy around that thinks Ricky Gervais is kind of funny. It's very hip now to hate him, but I think
he's got some good lines.
Oh, I think he's really funny.
Yeah.
There was one thing he had done in his career that was like, I don't know if you belong in that category of comedians.
Right.
This is a thing on HBO 6 or 7 years back where they had Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Louis C.K.,
Yeah.
and then Ricky Gervais. And I feel like Ricky Gervais had just kind of come on the scene, and
Yeah.
he was like, well, we're all equally famous. And everyone's like, I don't know about that, Ricky.
Yeah.
I know you're a good dude. Office is a
Yeah.
big deal in the UK.
Well,
Yeah.
Dane
But-
Cook as well was in that
Oof.
HBO group.
Whoa, that's a real insult to Ricky Gervais.
I understand,
Yeah.
but I'm saying they always pick up and comers.
Yeah.
Amy Schumer, for example.
Anyway,
Okay, so
Oscars.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it. But you should know, those of you listening, that the Oscar. There really is something doesn't win unless somebody's been campaigning. It is not a meritocracy. It is a who hired the publicist to host the most brunches the most meet and greets.
These are like also ads. You see ads in like Variety.
Sure.
For your consideration.
But it really comes down to there are only 6,000 voters. So a guy like Leonardo DiCaprio, who is going to win the Best Actor Oscar,
finally
has to have in some way or another touched each of these voters. Either met them, shook their hand, was at a brunch with not that many people, explained why he deserves it because he was in the snow, and that's part of, now you can't be in that position unless you put in a good performance.
Of course.
And although I'm not the biggest fan of The Revenant, I recognize that there was a lot of merit there.
Sure.
Also, Leo's been around for a long time.
It's his
Everybody,
career,
it's the
individual.
But a guy doesn't win unless he puts in the effort to win. It's
so
like
Daniel Day-Lewis does that.
See, I can't see that happening.
I can neither confirm
like,
or deny, but
like him campaigning.
I don't know about that one because he seems to be pretty above it all. But maybe he's got a system in place that does it for him. I mean, there have been dead people.
He's sort of like the Native American. He's got a Native American that he sends to like do the dirty work.
So that
like,
posthumous Oscar that Heath Ledger won,
right?
Okay,
yeah,
for the Joker.
There's a team.
The estate was like,
well, I don't.
That seems like it sort of they did the job already. Where it was like
it was above that.
Yeah, and there wasn't anything else that was clearly better.
Yeah.
And maybe people took a back seat thinking, oh, I'm not even going to bother.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the movie did it for him.
Sure.
You know, the producers, the director. I mean, there was a campaign even for a dead person.
Yeah.
You know, so anyway, but
it's weird. It's a weird because I feel like you're pulling back the curtain a little bit. Because I feel like most people are like, oh, well, the best, you know, there's this.
Yeah, they don't know who's voting. And the people who are voting it's not like anybody who's in a movie gets to vote. You have to be asked to join this group. It's pretty much people in the film industry that have proven themselves. So it's a lot of older people. And
I know they've spoken about concerns about the variety and the age of people that are allowed to vote.
Yeah, because it takes a while in the biz before you're in.
Sure.
And there is some legacy of, you know, who gets to be in, and they're trying to mix it up with younger people, with more racially diverse, which I think is all good. But it's only 6,500, 6,200 people, and you know, there's a very specific type of person. You know, usually basically an old white guy, who's rich,
right,
but not that rich. You know, most of them, it's not. They're not all Katzenberg and Geffen and Spielberg.
Sure,
it's like people who work.
You could send them an Olive Garden gift certificate, and it would be pretty good.
Anyway, so we'll get to that in part because you got when you're thinking about what's going to win, you got to think about who's voting.
Sure. Yeah,
you know, it's not just the average moviegoer.
Okay.
You know, it's not the People's Choice Award.
And it's amazing that like I always look at like the Vegas odds on everything, and they seem to kind of get that right.
Yeah,
and I understand for sports when they pick lines and they do spreads for all that. But they kind of nail Oscar stuff too.
Yeah.
Which is kind of remarkable.
Yeah, it's pretty
You know,
weird.
if I was putting a lot of money down, couldn't you just like go around and just call as many people as possible? Just try to just like know?
Just take like a
You
survey.
Just know.
It's
like
weird.
it's 6,000 people, spend a weekend.
Yeah.
Make a lot of phone calls.
And you're done and you're in.
Right.
Right. All right, so I like that kind of teaser. We are going to spend the vast majority of the show talking about the Oscars. There's one story I want to get to.
Story.
That's a tech story that's been making a lot of headlines this week. A lot of controversy. I was on CBS earlier this week talking about it. If you don't know, the FBI has asked Apple to essentially to add a backdoor into one of the San Bernardino's terrorists' cell phones, their iPhone. They want to get in there, and Apple came back and was like, "Look, we can't do that.
Right.
If we do that, we open up this Pandora's box."
Yeah. Led Zeppelin sang a lot about this, about backdoors specifically.
Yeah, no, that's what, and this is exactly what they were talking about.
Yeah.
So it's so that's the sort of like background story.
No, it's a moral dilemma.
It's really a moral dilemma.
It's interesting because we talked about this a few weeks ago, where people were giving Apple shit about the whole like, oh, you got your phone fixed by a third party offering person, and that sort of nullified the security and it kind of wiped the phone. But this is very much related to it, which is to say like Apple putting security first, and people are very much in support of what Apple's doing. They're pushing back against the feds
They are, and even organizations that you would never think in a million years would align themselves with the same politics as Apple are coming out and saying, "Look, this is actually the right thing to do."
And it's not wholly altruistic. Like there is a business logic behind it, which is to say, if you build this backdoor in, it really does have the potential to open it up to the entire world of hackers.
Right.
And for Apple, they need to be looked on as like a very secure device.
Of course.
So the second that you make any consolation to say like, "Oh yeah, we're going to do this," maybe this is going to open the floodgates, then people maybe don't look at iPhones as the secure device
But I
anymore.
think that sort of like business protection comes automatically with the idea of like, well, no, we can't just have hundreds of millions of people's information potentially vulnerable out there. Anyway.
But what I don't understand is two things. Number one, it's like if this tragic event happened 15 years ago, the FBI would be trying to get the address book of these shooters.
Right.
It would be pen and paper and there wouldn't be a problem. I mean, ethically, it would be like, you go and look through their stuff. Go right ahead.
And if they had a computer, it would be crackable.
And then the other thing is like, does Apple really not? They really can't go in. Like, what are they trying to find? His iCal, his phone book, his
presumably
contacts,
emails. I don't know.
How is
it's
that?
probably like a lot of like
GPS stuff,
GPS cached stuff,
Sure.
How
like
can they not
location.
find that?
So it's not that Apple can't find it; it's that they literally can't access it
because it's encrypted.
Because it's encrypted.
Is my stuff encrypted?
Yes.
Well, I think that should be unencrypted. What if I need something? I got to call the Genius Bar to find something.
But you know your 4-digit password, and that unencrypts it.
So the fact that these guys are dead, they can't do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, how long does it take to check for 4 numbers on a random number generator?
If you do more than 10 times,
it locks it out.
All right, so then Apple can turn that protocol off.
Well, they can't.
They
Because
can't,
if
or they won't?
They won't.
They claim the technology to do that does not currently exist.
I don't believe them.
All right, but they said if you want, they would have to create that,
Right.
which they say they can do.
I'm going to throw some bold statements down.
Throw
You ready?
Okay, hold on.
Because I like that we have conflict here.
No, this is good.
I'm kind of with the FBI on this one. It's
Okay.
not a slippery slope in every stinking case. These are very specific circumstances.
They are.
Sure.
And I don't think that you should do this for every criminal.
Right.
But these are not your average workaday criminals. They shot how many people?
Something like 14.
Sure.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's very bad.
Very
no
bad.
one's going to argue with the fact that it's very bad.
And they claim, although they may have just been screwballs, but they claim to have some sort of fealty to ISIS.
Yeah.
I personally think that they were just wackos, but it's possible that they were in some sort of communication with ISIS. Possible.
Sure.
I don't think so. It's like a 10% chance.
Sure.
I think you kind of have to follow up on that.
Okay, but I think the things to keep in mind is, so on paper, it'd be like, well, whatever, you hack the phone open and it's open, whatever.
Yeah.
What the feds are looking for Apple to do is build into the OS.
Create something new for future.
Into the update the software so that there's this insight into the software where they're saying we'll only use it for this instance, but by changing the OS, and effectively you'd have to change it for everyone.
Yeah.
By changing the OS, then anyone that has the same level as the feds in terms of hacking or security ability, anyone on the planet could then do it theoretically.
It's different. Yeah, I get the Pandora's box. It's very.
The thing is, like, they can say it exists in a vacuum. They can say this is like an air gap sort of situation.
But it
never does. I mean, just look at everything look at WikiLeaks, look at Snowden, look at everything going on. There is no way this would not get out.
Right.
I know, but it's possible that these guys
So fine.
met like a week before the killing. They went and had lunch with the ISIS plant in America that's out there free right now.
Now, what do you think is worse, right? I'm not saying you have to pick and choose like where you want your security and privacy to end in, like what's the best sort of like result taking all these risks. But here's the deal. If we do this and then this stuff gets out, and now potentially very dangerous people have the ability to seek out people's privacy and all that. To me, that is a way worse situation,
because it'll affect like stalking cases, for example. If you're stalking
and terrorists
someone.
and any nefarious person on Earth. So no one's saying like, well, 14 deaths is okay. It's not that. It's just you have to really look at the big picture.
Right. Do you think that the technology exists that Apple could do it? They're saying they
can do it.
They can do it.
But they just don't want to create it.
Now, what the FBI could do is force some other technology firm to do it on the FBI's behalf.
Very relevant.
Very relevant.
That's where the hook is.
From seemingly out of left field, we all remember Mr. John McAfee.
He invented McAfee antivirus.
Right. And, this guy
actually?
kind of has like a shattered past. He's been in trouble with the law a bunch.
Sure.
I don't remember the specifics of what this guy was. Do you remember the details?
No.
He was just...
But that is him behind the McAfee antivirus,
Yeah,
right?
that's this guy.
Okay.
He's kind of like a loose cannon a little bit.
He looks like a cartel head. There's like his face is all like grizzled and
he looks like he's
bearded.
in Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
A little bit too. Right? He looks like Tig a little bit.
That's exactly who he looks like.
Right? Which is troubling. So anyway, he's behind this McAfee antivirus company that you're probably very familiar with if you've ever used a computer from the years of 1990 to 2001. And he has come out and said, I am going to decrypt the San Bernardino iPhone free of charge so that Apple does not basically need to turn the world upside down by creating a backdoor.
And they said that did he say specifically decrypt? Because when I read the article, it sounded like he was going to use social engineering to essentially hack the code and figure it out. He said he needs...
The op-ed that he wrote for Business Insider doesn't necessarily get down to the specific details as to how he would do this. He just goes on to say, like, well, the FBI probably has, like, the worst hackers in the business because they're scared to hire 23-year-olds with 13-inch pink
I saw the
mohawks.
movie Black Hat, and I know that he's
Oh,
right.
God.
So, I mean, but look, I'm not going to say he's wrong with stuff like that.
No,
like,
but what's interesting, I think it was in that piece, or it might have been in a different piece, where they were saying the tactics that he would use are not explicitly hacking tactics. They're more to do with social engineering. So you get someone on the phone from a bank and you're like, hey, I'm this guy.
Right.
Here's my
That's
security
like hacking
password.
101 sort of social engineering stuff.
And it's very basic, but like, so the benefit of that is you're getting the information that you need in this specific instance about this one person. It doesn't affect millions of other people.
Yeah.
And
so
it's
listen,
kind of interesting.
listen to what he said. He goes, with all due respect to Tim Cook and Apple, I work with a team of the best hackers on the planet. These hackers attend DEF CON in Las Vegas, and they are legends in their local hacking groups such as Hack Miami. So if you pay attention to that scene, you probably know what he's talking about. They are all prodigies with talents that defy normal human comprehension. About 75% of them are social engineers. The remainder are hardcore coders.
So they're not coders. Like, most of them are not coders. They're like,
just weasel. Well, no, they're
it's a little
reporters.
weaselly, sure. They're con men.
Woodward and Bernstein.
Sure.
Yeah, I would eat my shoe on the Neil Cavuto show. Why has he picked the Neil Cavuto show?
I've been on the Neil Cavuto show.
Do they eat clothing on that?
Yes.
I would eat my shoe on the Neil Cavuto show if we could not break the encryption on the San Bernardino iPhone. This is a pure and simple fact. So, the thing is, like, okay, well, he's got to get access to that.
Yeah.
He needs the phone.
Like, yeah.
The phone
The
is
feds
right
would
now
need to
with
be
the
like,
FBI.
okay.
So do you think the FBI has this phone and they've
Yes.
like tried the password 9 times and they're just like, oh man, don't try again or this phone gets wiped?
What's her birthday again?
I don't know. I hate to joke about it, but it's just like,
No, it's weird.
Well,
It's a weird
I
story.
think that he should do it, and I think that Aaron Sorkin should make a movie about all this.
Aaron Sorkin would be very much in
I'm
support
sure
of
he's
it.
on top of it.
Yeah.
Let's shift back into the Oscars. Is Aaron Sorkin even on a list somewhere?
Well, the
Steve Jobs.
is represented here and there. Steve Jobs, which is actually Steve Jobs may come home with an award. I think
he might.
I think
No,
that
his movie might.
No, I think yes. I think Winslet is a real contender. She's actually my pick.
Is that the
So-
only I think that's the only category.
No, Fassbender is going to lose.
Oh, Fassbender. Right.
Oh, I love these declarative statements. Is like my favorite because it's just such an awesome way to look at it. Okay, so do you want to work backwards the way they do?
Let's do the bullshit ones first. And then go backwards. Okay.
Not to take anything away from these fine people.
No, the list we have is in alphabetical order. But what I'm going to do first is because what we're suggesting now is is for people in the pool,
Right.
So we want you to win. So what I'm going to start first with is how about like music, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So there's
no
two-
one has any opinions about the music.
Yeah. No.
Well, no, that's not true. The nominees for Best Music are Bridge of Spies, Carol, The Hateful Eight, Sicario, and Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Oh, okay.
The music in Star Wars: The Force Awakens
Not amazing.
is well, the themes are good because they're the old themes,
Right. So
recycled
that
themes.
should win
I'm
awards.
sorry. Nobody like that movie is a Control C, Control V situation anyway.
Right.
So,
So
maybe
that's a nix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carol's music is fine, but it's a nix. And Bridge of Spies' music is good because it's old school, but it's a little too old school.
Sure.
So that's a nix. So that leaves us with two things. Sicario is the composer named Johan Johansson, who
Yeah.
is Icelandic. And the I'm assuming everybody saw Sicario. The music
I didn't see Sicario.
I didn't see it, but
I heard it was great.
I know you recommended
it. It's good. It's good, and the music is really, really cool, and it is moody and atmospheric, and it's great, and it probably would get my vote. However, it's not going to win
because of The Hateful Eight.
The Hateful Eight is going to win because the composer is the 85-year-old legend who has never won a competitive award.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Ennio Morricone. He's won, hats off, the great. But it's his first time in competitive, and talk about a guy who's due. He's a legend. If you don't know who Ennio Morricone is, he composed a musical phrase that everybody in the world knows, which is
I didn't know
that guy. Spaghetti Western.
Yeah,
I do know he's known for his Westerns, but I didn't realize that was his
that's
original.
him. That came out of his head.
I dare you to think of that and not see a tumbleweed in your brain. I dare you.
Yeah.
So he's been around. Well, he's 85. He's made the theme I was just whistling was The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. But he's all Fistful of Dollars, Few Dollars More, Duck You Sucker. Also, movies like The Mission, which is if I can't hum that one, but if you heard it, you would know it. He's a legend. He's not physically well.
Yeah.
It's unclear if he'll be able to come to the awards, but there's a rumor that he is going to appear, and the place is going to go nuts.
He'll Skype in.
He's a lock.
If he's got to Skype in, he'll Skype in.
Get out the key, lock the door on that one.
Okay.
It's for the hate. And by the way, the music for The Hateful Eight is not chicken feed. It's pretty damn
it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
So I'm taking notes of things you're calling locks.
Yes. And
So
if
this
I'm
is
wrong,
a lock.
I'm what do I know? But I would agree with
this
that.
is
I
a
think
lock.
it's pretty.
If I'm
pretty
wrong, I'm sorry. If I'm wrong, everybody makes mistakes.
Will you eat something on the Neil Cavuto show?
No, I will not even speak to Neil Cavuto. If I'm wrong, I'll have lunch that day. A lunch of my choosing. Chicken
really
sandwich.
taking it on the chin there,
Yeah,
man.
maybe a salad if I'm feeling it. Okay, other music is original songs. I listened to all 5 of these, and they're pretty... I don't really like... There's only one of them that I like, and I think it's going to be the winner.
I feel like the Bond one always wins.
The Bond ones always win, and this one is really poor this year. It's the one by...
Adele.
No, Adele was
she
last
did
time.
Skyfall. Right?
Sam. He's very popular. Sam Smith.
Okay.
Oh, the British guy.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
It's a real sleepy tune. It's not that exciting, and that's from Spectre. The 2 other very sleepy tunes. Lady Gaga did "It Till Happens to You," which is a song about rape. So it's pretty.
What?
It's pretty.
Yikes.
Well, it's about the documentary is called "The Hunting Ground."
Yeah.
And it's kind of a heavy song. It's not very cheerful.
Yeah.
Do you find that it's cheerful songs that generally win that category?
No, but I'm just thinking if I was a voter, all of these are very sleepy. The movie, another documentary called Racing Extinction about animals that are dying, that song is very sleepy also. The one from the movie Youth, which was a good movie. It had Harvey Keitel and Michael Caine, Italian film director working in English. It's a beautiful movie, not great, but it's good. It's a B+. And Simple Song number 3 is the track that they're isolating. That's modern opera. That's sure as hell not going to win, but it's actually pretty good. And if you see the movie, and I recommend seeing Youth, it's a very emotional song, and it's about a composer. So this is his magnum opus. So in the context,
is his Mr. Holland's opus.
Right. So Simple Song number 3 is actually in this. When I listened to it this morning, I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember this. The movie was very emotional.
Yeah.
Not going to win.
Okay.
The winner is going to be, for a piece of junk movie that's a laughingstock, it's going to be the song Earned It from 50 Shades of Grey.
How dare that film?
And I'm going to tell you something, because it's the only song on this list that's good, that's fun to listen to.
But you don't think people are going to be embarrassed to vote for 50 Shades of Grey?
No, it's a good song, and it's The Weeknd. Weeknd. How do you say his name?
Yeah, The Weeknd.
Okay.
He just doesn't like vowels.
I haven't heard the song, but
it's peppy.
Okay.
It's good.
Okay.
How do the nominees for that get decided? We didn't really get into that. Like how do the nominees get decided?
There's a initial round, a preliminary round. We'll talk about that when we get to Best Picture.
Okay, cool.
Because lately, some years it's 7, some years it's 10.
Right.
This year it's
been
8.
changing.
So what level of guarantee are you putting on Earned?
I'm putting an 81% on Earned.
I like that.
But the Morricone score is like
Morricone scores a 99.9.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Now let's very quickly talk about the 3 categories nobody cares about.
Okay.
And short films.
Okay.
Okay, there are 3 short films: animated, live action, and documentary.
That's a lot of categories for short films.
There's 3. Yeah.
Subcategories, rather.
Yeah. These are nice for people who are trying to start their career, and we support them.
They could probably move these into the afternoon awards, I think.
Yeah.
The technical awards.
Okay. Yeah. And I will be very frank, of the live action and the documentaries, I've seen none of them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Okay.
So let's talk about the documentary short subject. I just did a little research, and the way to do this a lot of times is to poke around and see who's involved.
Okay.
Interesting.
Like, is there a producer on there who's
Do they have leverage?
Or is there a producer, is one of the associate producers on the short film have a name? You go, I recognize the name. You go,
Right.
oh, that's a famous Hollywood bigwig, and this is their son.
Yeah.
You know?
Understood.
God, that's kind of nepotism is
life.
Yeah,
Life,
it's
man.
life.
Okay, so the smart money for documentary short subject is Body Team 12. All of these movies, by the way, are horribly depressing.
Oh, what are
They're
they about?
Murder, war, medical illness.
One's a girl in a river.
Yeah, Body Team 12 is about Ebola.
Oh,
What?
lovely.
I mean, it's a cool name.
Yeah.
Body Team 12.
Well, it's about the team that goes and takes the Ebola dead bodies and deals with
Oh,
them.
never mind.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, it is a cool name.
It is
though.
a cool
Good
name,
branding.
but
Yeah.
contextually now
So
it's
Body
pretty
Team
bad.
12 is probably going to win simply because I've heard that it's quite good.
Okay.
Okay.
And HBO's involved.
Sure. That
So there you go. Now,
Okay.
but that's not a lock. That's a 75%. The other one is there's a documentary called Claude Lanzmann, Spectres of the Shoah. Claude Lanzmann is a very old man, probably 88 years old, who made the most important film ever about the Holocaust, which is called Shoah.
Okay.
And so this is about him. I've heard it described as basically like a DVD extra. So it's not very good filmmaking,
Sure.
but people respect and love Claude Lanzmann, and maybe that he'll get the
Just
vote.
the name.
So you're putting the other 25 on
Yeah,
him.
I'm putting the other 5 on Claude Lanzmann. It's possible that some of these other movies might win, but I don't think so.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, now let's go to short film live action. I've seen none of these. I'm kind of throwing a dart on the wall, but it's Ave Maria is about Israelis that get caught behind in the West Bank, and some nuns have to help them. That one sounds like it might have some potential. But Stutterer is about a stutterer who,
Sure.
but in his head he can speak well, but in his mouth he can't.
How could he tell someone that?
I don't know. This is a live action. This is not a documentary.
Right, it's fictional, but
Right.
like I want to know how they explain that.
You got to
about
watch Stutterer.
I gotta
writing?
watch Stutterer. Writing?
in
But I
writing.
guess that works.
The word
I'm fine.
the word is that the best one on here is called Shuk. Shok. It's about the Bosnian War.
Oh, wow.
They're all depressing.
Oh,
Yeah.
So I'm going to give Shuk a 69%.
Okay.
Cool.
Put your vote on that one.
okay.
Lastly, and this is something I know a little bit about because I've seen some of these, is the short film animated. And
I saw one of these.
You did?
Oh, I saw 2 of
You
these.
saw
actually.
2 of these. Yeah,
I've seen
and
2 of
those are the
these.
2. So it's a showdown between 2 quite good short films. Sanjay's Super Team, which anybody who saw The Good Dinosaur saw, because it was the Pixar short that came before
Oh,
it.
cool.
And it's about the little...
Maybe I haven't seen that one.
about
I saw
the-
the trailer for it.
Yeah, the little Hindu kid and his father, and he wants to watch superhero shows, and the father's trying to pray, and it's very sweet.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know. This one I don't know. Then the other one is this really terrific oddball short film by a truly independent crazy man by the name of Don Hertzfeld, who lives in Austin, Texas, and the movie is called World of Tomorrow, which, by the way, is one of the few things in the short subjects that you can watch right now. It's on Netflix.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
It's about 18 minutes long.
Yeah, about there.
And this guy, he did touch the pop culture a little bit. He made an intro couch gag for The Simpsons about 5 years ago that went viral.
Right.
Oh, the wackadoo one.
Yeah, crazy
you saw
one.
that.
Well,
yeah.
you would also-
I saw it live. I remember too, where they just become like abstract.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
He was-
this guy.
He was also
Okay.
kind of an internet thing in the early 2000s because I think he was actually nominated for an Oscar for this called Rejected. And it was a series of like crazy animations that were presented as failed commercial projects. And it starts with like a guy with a giant spoon just saying,
I love stuff like
my
that.
spoon
Yeah,
is too
fun.
big.
Yeah.
And it's all just gets weirder and weirder
Yeah.
from there. That's where I know him from. And his art style has not changed since then.
No, it's very abstract
very
and very
ab-
pencil drawn. And
Yeah.
so you
But
saw
he's hilarious.
World of Tomorrow. It's a sad movie.
It's very sad,
Yeah.
but funny at the same time. It's like
Very
this
dark.
dark comedy. of like time travel and craziness.
Yeah.
I'm signed up.
There
Yeah,
are some
It's great.
there are some critics who actually listed World of Tomorrow with all of 18 minutes as one of their top 10 of the year last year.
Wow.
In fact, my good friend David Ehrlich at Rolling Stone called it his second favorite movie of the year.
All right.
So World of Tomorrow is one of those ones that I'm pulling for, but I think Sanjay's Super Team is going to win. I don't think the Academy voters are going to dig World of Tomorrow. It's too freaking weird.
I heard one of these is super graphic. Do you know which one that is?
No.
Okay, apparently one of them is like really super.
When
like,
you say graphic,
like
I know
penises
graphic.
getting
just penises.
severed and stuff.
Oh, why would that? Well,
There's like a fight, a sword fight. Anyway, I don't know which one it is. So be wary of that.
Yeah, no, I don't. I haven't seen the other three, but rarely do we have a short film category for animated where there's two that are being talked about, or one that's being talked about, let alone two. So it's a showdown between Sanjay's Super Team and World of Tomorrow. I think if you're voting in your pool, you're probably safe putting your money on Sanjay.
So would you say like a 60-40 kind
Yes,
of thing?
I do.
Just
Like
because of
60-40.
Pixar.
Yeah, and it's good.
And
I mean,
good.
it's not like it's a bad film. World
Right.
of Tomorrow is just a special film, and
I like
you
that.
would be cool to see it. So you know what? Who gives a shit about the Oscars? Watch World of Tomorrow.
Yeah,
you know,
check
go.
that
It's
out.
on
Right.
Netflix. It's on Vimeo. Watch it and then show it to your friends because it's really cool. Okay, let's do now. You want to start on page 2? The edit. We'll just
Yeah,
edit.
let's
let's
just do that.
Go
Let's
down
just
the
blow
list.
through
Okay,
them
we're gonna blow
here.
through it. Okay, editing. I'm going to make a bold statement here. For editing, and sound mixing, and visual effects, those are 4 categories.
Yeah.
They're all going to Mad Max.
See, that's what
Okay.
I was going to say, just because
Sure.
of how
What-
nutty that
How do
movie
you
is.
judge? So sound editing and sound mixing, I get. Like you're judging the
Yeah.
quality and the whatever. For film editing, it's a weird thing to judge, if only because, like, obviously you're seeing how the film is cut.
You're looking for flow, and
You're looking for flow.
You're
Yeah,
looking
okay.
for flow, but you're right. This is actually very interesting to me. And by the way, before I worked as a film critic, I did actually work in film production, and I can tell you that editing is the most important thing in making a movie.
And I think it's the most
nobody-
underappreciated.
the most
thing.
underappreciated because it's the least understood and also the most mysterious. And I'll
Right.
tell you why. You never really know who's in charge of the edit. You would think the editor is named John Doe, the film editor. He's in charge, or she. And many of the best film editors were women. That is sometimes the case.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's the director, a truly visionary director who has control of everything. You know, one of these brilliant men from Mount Olympus come down, and it's the editor is merely the guy pushing the buttons, and he's
Right.
calling the shots. Or in some Hollywood product, you go see Fast and Furious 26. It's a team of producers with notes, in the studio
Sure.
head. So who's really the editor? It kind of depends on the movie. I think in the case of Mad Max, George Miller is probably a very hands-on, I don't know for a fact, but probably a very hands-on director.
He feels like a Robert Rodriguez type where he's kind of doing everything.
And certainly he works in tandem with his editor and gets, his editor comes in with brilliant ideas and they play back and forth and it's very collaborative. But this is an opportunity for the Academy to give George Miller an award because he's not going to win anything higher than these quote-unquote technical awards.
Sure.
Furthermore, Mad Max, although I think the story is I think it's a little stupid.
It's very simple.
I think that people who are projecting all these notions of great feminist ideals and whatnot onto Matt are maybe pushing it a little hard. I mean, yes, it's about women who want to be free. That's period. It's at the end. I mean, it's not a deep movie for thinkers. I think many disagree, but brilliantly photographed.
Oh, it's amazing.
Shot, and every shot is holy cow! I can't believe this.
And they
made.
do this that weird kind of almost. It's being played a little quicker than real life, right? They do that kind of like
it's a visual
1.2
feast.
times.
Yeah, there's so many cool moments in it. So I think, for all of these topics, it's going to win. I think it's going to sweep.
So you think it's going to do editing?
I think it's going to do film editing, sound mixing, and visual effects.
Oh yeah,
which is a shame because the Martian has some pretty good visual effects, but I think that it's all about Mad Max, and I also think it's going to win production design. Is that on here?
Production design
is there. That makes sense,
and it should because there's not one shot in Mad Max that isn't just brilliant. I mean,
feast of,
I love like
visual.
just
especially the opening 20 minutes.
the whole and the gas pedal is like one of those shoe measuring things from a shoe store.
It's just the attention to detail.
Yeah,
it's
just out of
the guy is wearing pajamas while drumming on the war drum.
the
it.
doof warrior.
The doof warrior.
Yeah.
So I don't think that Mad Max is in the mix for anything higher than. I mean, not to dismiss these categories, but I think it's such a good movie and such an innovative movie, and everybody wants to salute it. But I think it's getting a little crazy when you start talking Best Picture.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
so
I'm happy it's there.
Yeah.
I happen to be, and I've said this, and I'm sure we talked about it last time you were here. The fact that, and Russ and I always love talking about this, the fact that it got made.
Yeah.
You know, and now that it's getting a lot of recognition, I think it's great.
And
but I agree.
Finally go back to the Babe series after this.
Yeah.
Thank God.
It's about time.
But let's before we close that out, let's just very quickly talk about sound editing versus sound mixing.
Right.
Because nobody knows what this is. And even we just beforehand had to double. It's like, which is the stalactite and which is the stalagmite. Right. So sound mixing is the dude on set. So when George Miller's calling action and Charlize Theron is screaming, the person who is in charge of capturing the sound on set is called sound mixing. Sound editing is where the art comes in my opinion. It's taking all the component sounds, some of the live recordings, music, special effects, adding in little booms and crashes, and that's sort of creating the whole sculpture of sound. Nothing against my friends who are sound mixers.
Sure.
I think sound mixing should be left off.
I feel like sound mixing, Star Wars should not be nominated for sound mixing. Sound editing, sure. Aliens,
like,
blasts,
why?
all that stuff.
Yeah.
For sound mixing, though, like you have some dialogue scenes, there's some but it's not an ambitious sound.
And also, if you're going to nominate
movie.
for sound mixing, nominate for the catering. Like it's who cares? I mean, it's like a guy with a microphone.
Oh my God, you're gonna get stabbed on the street by some sound mixer.
Or best guy who put sandbags on a pole.
Gaffer,
so you're saying if they're
lighting.
doing mixing, why doesn't the
Lighting
gaffer
should
and the
be
key
there
grip
too.
get?
Sure.
Yeah.
I
Totally.
mean, I think he probably is left over from the early days of sound.
Yeah.
When the first talkies were made, sometimes you couldn't understand the dialogue because you had some schmuck who didn't know where to put it.
It's really not a problem anymore.
They had, in the early days, they would put the microphone in a plant.
Yeah.
And then, people were like, we always know the microphone's there. You got to mix it up. So these were people who were smart enough to figure out where to hide the microphone.
Right.
Like you say, this is not an issue anymore. I think that sound mixers are great. And I even am friends with one of them. I hope he's not listening to this. But unless I'm not understanding what they do, which is possible, and I will eat my shoe.
I mean, maybe
I don't think there should be an Academy Award for this category.
The only thing that I think maybe we're overlooking is sort of like the on-the-fly adjustments and slight variations that need to happen for someone who's doing a live mix like that. Yeah. I think, like when I think of mixing, I think of like at a concert, someone who's working front of house and has that massive board in front of them. Not saying that's equal to what an on-set film production is, but there's a lot of fine-tuning, and these guys are really kind of the hidden, sort of puppet
that guy
master.
getting a Grammy though?
No, not for a concert, but in the studio.
But two things to say to that. Number one, think about the camera though. There's 150 things. The focus pulling and the moving of the dolly and whatnot. Where are their awards? And two, if you screw up,
cinematography.
Well, but not like like an AD doesn't get it.
But if you screw up the sound mixing, you do it all in post production.
You can do
ADR, as it's called. All right. So now that I've shit on the sound mixing industry,
you really have.
But I do think that sound is an under discussed part of movie making. Like because you notice bad sound.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'll give you something. If you're ever watching a bad, cheap movie, here's how you know they were in the editing room going, ugh, we got a mess on us here. And you're going to notice this now in movies from now on. If you're watching a movie and something dramatic is happening, and then on the soundtrack, you'll hear boom. So if I say to you, Jeff, she's waiting outside, and then the scene, and then you react, and then the scene goes on, that means the acting was good.
Okay.
If I say to you, Jeff, she's outside, and then you hear boom.
Just to enhance.
Yeah, just like a boom from out of nowhere. That means they were in the editing room going,
this doesn't
Hoffman
play.
whiffed that line. This doesn't play. And you're going to notice that now constantly. A lot of it on TV because
TV's
on
notorious.
Watch that on Law and Order. There's 75 booms per scene. Boom. And I know this because I used to work in film production when we were making our shitty movies that weren't working.
Yeah.
We need a boom here.
We need some spice.
So that's just like just adds an emphasis.
It's a subconscious thing
Right.
that I should be on edge now, or
Okay.
something good just happened.
Sure.
Or, anyway,
I think a duck quack would be better.
duck quack.
People would certainly take notice.
All right, so we just gave Mad Max Fury Road sound mixing, sound editing, film editing, visual effects, and production.
So the only thing I might
Costumes?
go head to head
Is that
with you
production
on.
design?
No, production design and costumes are two different things.
Okay.
I'm with you with the special effects.
Yeah.
I just wonder. I mean, the whole thing with Mad Max is like, a lot of this stuff is stunts. A lot of this stuff is. They did do a lot of like layering. I know. I read this whole thing in Wired how
like
they did a lot of this stuff.
What's real and what is practical.
Right, but I think that still falls into the visual effects
Totally,
category.
Yeah, they still had to blow stuff up. So I'm going to give it to them on that. Okay. Then we go to costume design. It's on page 1.
Sure.
Because we're in that milieu right now.
Yeah.
And this is where I don't know. Because it could be Mad Max Fury Road, or it could be some of these movies that they want to give a little love to.
A little head nod to, yeah.
Cinderella, which made a lot of money and was good. The Revenant. I mean,
it's always weird because there's always movies in this category that are like 1940s clothing.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like
Well,
nothing.
it's the thing that would appear to be the hardest to do, right? We're like, we
yeah.
don't have any of this. We have to make it. You know?
Well, no, that's part of it. That's part of it. Sure. The Revenant, the guy wore pelts, so bloody pelts.
Yeah.
Danish Girl and Carol are possibilities here, and I kind of feel like Carol might be the one to if it's going to win anything, it's going to win this because they all look gorgeous, and Carol's a really, really good movie, and I think that people want to give Carol a little bit of something.
Sure.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that even though Revenant is going to do very well, and we're going to get to that in a moment, and Mad Max was cleaning up earlier, and certainly the costumes of Mad Max are wild too.
Yeah.
But I think the split is you give production design to Mad Max, and you let Carol win for best costume.
Sure.
Because
that makes sense.
this you get to celebrate the cool outfits that Rooney and Kate were wearing. I could be wrong. I feel I'm putting a 51% on that one. I feel like this is one where I'm maybe pulling it out of my rear end. It also, the Danish Girl is nothing to sneeze at in terms of costumes. And they had to tailor women's clothing for a man, so that's new. And the Danish Girl is a good movie too. It's not great, but it's good. Okay, let's go back to page 2 now. Let's talk about writing. Right?
Okay.
Do you want to knock out that foreign film?
Yes,
Let's do that.
I do. This year,
you made a prediction.
Yeah,
you did
already.
Yeah.
The winner is Son of Saul. This is a lock. Put it down for 100%.
Lock.
100%.
100%.
Well
This is the
done.
first 100%, by the way.
Yeah, this is 100%. And I'll tell you something. He deserves to win. But this year for foreign language film, these are 5 really, really good movies. And I would recommend seeing all of them.
Wow, okay.
I'm just going to very quickly give you a thumbnail on each one in the ones that if I were listing them in terms of ascending order. A War, which is a hard movie to Google for.
Yeah.
But A War is Danish. And the guy who made A War, his last movie was called A Hijacking.
Okay.
There's the
Got
theme
sort of
here.
a theme.
A Hijacking was better, by the way.
Okay.
A War is good. It's set in Afghanistan, and it's about a commander who has to make a call to he's got to save his guy, his man down. What does he do? And he tries to do the right thing, and he winds up killing a bunch of civilians.
Oh,
and, yeah, it's not so good.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. And what's interesting is that they frequently cut back to while he's in the shit. They cut back to his wife and small children back home, and they make all these sort of not like 1-to-1 parallels because that would be foolish, but like. She's got problems too. She's a single mom in Denmark, and then there are kids, in Afghanistan. It's a very tense movie, so it's good. It's heavy, not fun. Thebe from Jordan is kind of like a reverse Lawrence of Arabia. It's about 2 kids from the Levant, or Transjordan as it was called at the time, who help a World War I general like on a quest. So it's kind of like. When Lawrence, assuming everyone's seen Lawrence of Arabia, it's a masterpiece. When Lawrence finds those 2 little guys, and they're like, "Oh, Lawrence, we will help you find." It's kind of like spinning that, and it's beautiful because it's shot on location, and it's very rare that a film from Jordan is in the mix like this. Mustang. This is an interesting one because it's a Turkish film, but it's France's nominee because it's not exactly good for the Turks. This movie. It's about the persecution of women, and while Istanbul and some of the other cities in Turkey are very modern, get on the highway and it's not so good there.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's about 5 sisters. It's very similar to the Virgin Suicides. Similar vibes, like a Turkish Virgin Suicide. 5 sisters. They're coming of age, and it's time to marry them all off. And it doesn't go well.
Okay.
These are independent girls who aren't necessarily interested in marrying who their uncle says they should.
And there's
marry.
no Josh Hartnett.
No. Mustang, and it's a very, very good movie.
These are all heavy, man.
I know.
Yeah,
intense.
Mustang is heavy, but it is pleasantly so, because when you get to know these 5 girls, and it's very beautifully shot. But it's depressing. But it's really gorgeous movie, and it's about like the middle. I think the main character is the middle girl, and she's like trying to get out. But it's really great. Embrace of the Serpent happens to be in theaters right stinking now. And it is so good. It's the first movie from Columbia ever to get nominated.
Oh wow!
And
a lot of first timers.
Yeah, I recently published my review in The Guardian and gave this a very rare 5 out of 5 stars.
Nice.
Very rare. It's set in the Amazon jungle. 2 time zones. Then they cut between the 2 stories in parallel. It's about 2 expeditions. One is a German botanist explorer trying to find some mystical plant. And there's a shaman who helps him go up the river. And then X amount of decades later, an American, based on a real guy, is trying to finish the work of the first guy. And it's about, lost tribes, indigenous people, and the contamination of colonialism. Wow. It's not quite, and the main character is in both time zones, just as an older man. It's not quite the, noble savage story that you might think. It's kind of a nuanced take. We see how the colonialism screwed up everybody, but not quite how you think. And it's just so trippy and cool, and because they're trying to get this plant, and then they take the plant and they all freak out. And there's a lot of cocaine use in this. They call it the sun's semen, and they blast it in each other's nose because he's sick. He gets jungle fever at first. Yeah. So he's like, he needs the sun's semen. So they crack up this white powder and they blast it in his nose.
Oh my God.
He's like, he's revived, and it's so great.
Wacky.
And it's in black and white, and it looks amazing.
Okay.
That's Embrace the Serpent. It's a wonderful movie.
So see all these,
well,
and then you're a winner.
Son of Saul's the winner. It is the most disturbing movie you'll see all year.
Oh, God damn.
This is the one I mentioned it last time. It's set at Auschwitz. It's basically Children of Men at Auschwitz. Shot on film, projected on film. The director really made a stink of it, so you can go and see it in theaters, and it's being shown on film, which is a rarity these days.
Yeah.
It's basically a guy working inside the camps. He's what's called the Sonderkommando, which were the Jews that were, involved in the mechanics of the day to day. And it's like, you can read about Auschwitz and you go, it's horrible. But this is like, what was a day like at Auschwitz?
Yeah.
And it puts you right in there. It's very first person.
Okay. It's
impossible to watch, but it's important. And the technical aspects are, like how it was made is just amazing. First time director also. So that's Son of Saul, and it's a masterpiece, but I saw it at its premiere at Cannes, and I never want to see it again.
Wow. There's not a lot of movies that I have that response to.
Yeah.
It's just like, I can't do that again.
Yeah. No, I'll never see it. I have they sent it, the end of the year they send out screeners.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm putting that right on the wall.
That's it.
Never opening it. But it's really amazing. It's an amazing document, and the guy who made it, he felt that he had to do it, and it's something.
Okay.
You had a question, Russell.
Did I?
I don't know.
No. Wait, did we touch on makeup and hairstyling? I think we mentioned it. I don't think you picked an actual thing.
No.
For it, there's only 3 nominees.
Yeah, 100-year-old man who climbed out the window and disappeared.
Did you see that?
No. Mad Max or The Revenant.
I mean, it's essentially like, is wound makeup better than like crazy maniac makeup in Mad Max? That's really
tough.
I'm going to give it to The Revenant.
You think
okay.
Revenant?
We should Google who these people are.
Yeah.
Because you know what? If the guy or gal who is the Revenant makeup and hairstylist is somebody who's been around a long time and is due,
sure,
much like Leo himself,
right?
So I'm looking this up right now. Mad Max's makeup artist is Oh, wait, hold on. We have to go through ads.
Oh,
the internet. God damn
I don't.
you.
Yeah.
Why are you on allure.com? You should be
Leslie Vanderwalt?
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that ring any bells?
No, but I'm not really.
Do you know anyone? Like, if we said names?
But if I like, maybe like we're gonna do the Revenant hair and makeup, and if it's like one of the 5 people I know, then we'll know.
Makeup artist Anthony Gordon.
Yeah.
What
else? No. What else has he done? Click on full cast and crew.
Full casting.
This is gonna be worth it because I think it's gonna be the Revenant. Anthony Gordon.
Man, that makeup department's enormous.
There's a lot of people in this makeup
And they were
department.
also cold.
They were freezing.
Yeah. Yeah. How did they keep their makeup? It probably froze. They had to like keep it in warm water.
So was that like a thing?
For the trouble, I think the difficulty of the shooting of the Revenant is gonna put it over the top.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
All right, let's give this one
What's
to the
with Inarritu just trying to like make everyone's lives miserable,
kind of a weird dude,
right? Like Birdman is like, hey, we're gonna make this look like it's all one shot.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a very simple story, but we're gonna make it all look like one shot. All right, so let's give that one to the Revenant. But as you can hear in my voice, I don't really
Not
know.
super.
Yeah.
I just feel like
You're iffy.
I'm iffy, but Mad Max won everything else, and I think this is going to be in there. Okay. So let's talk about writing, and then we'll talk about the others. So we're going at a clip now. Best original screenplay is a lock. Get out your keys.
Really?
Original screenplay.
Wait, can I guess?
Jesse-
You think it's a lock
I do.
for Spotlight?
I do.
Okay, yeah, I've heard Spotlight.
It's
going to
be a lock for 2 reasons.
I haven't seen it.
Number 1, it's not going to win anything else.
Yeah.
Number 2,
You like this film?
Spotlight's good.
I gotta see
very,
that.
very good.
Yeah.
Number 2,
This is the priest situation.
Yeah.
well, it is.
In
It's
the newspaper.
It's about Michael Keaton and others work at the Boston Globe, and they are the ones who did the reporting to bring down and expose the decades of abuse in the Boston archdiocese.
Yep.
What's amazing about Spotlight in this category is this. A movie like Spotlight seems like it's adapted from something.
Right.
It seems like it's based on a book. Like you would think that the main character
Or
is
a
played
newspaper
by
article. Or
newspaper
something
article. The main character in this movie is played by Michael Keaton. You just assume, or Liev Schreiber. One of the great things about Spotlight is you don't know. There's really no main character.
Sure.
It's maybe it's Liev Schreiber, maybe it's Mark Ruffalo, maybe it's Keaton. You would think that one of these guys, who are all real guys, wrote a book, won a bunch of awards, was a bestseller, and it was adapted for a movie. And I just assumed that was the case, and it wasn't. The guys who wrote Spotlight, they knew the story. They're like, we're going to make a movie about what happened in Boston.
Yeah.
Our angle is through these guys. And they wrote a really quite good script and they did a lot of journalism on their on their own.
Yeah, they have to research.
Yeah, they did a lot of research and they uncovered facts. I mean, there are things in the movie that were never really out before. Because these guys when these guys were covering the story, they weren't writing about themselves. They were writing about the people that were abused, and the various Cardinal Law was the kind of the main dude's name. So Spotlight is going to win. Spotlight should win. And you can mark that as a lock, 100%.
All right, lock it up.
Nothing against some of these other picks. Bridge of Spies, good script. Ex Machina, great script.
Yeah,
I'm
love
glad
Ex
to see that on
Inside Out was a great script.
Inside Out's a great script too. Inside Out's going to win for best animated.
Yep.
Straight Outta Compton, the first half of the movie's good.
Mm-hmm.
Did you
That's
see
what I
I
heard.
didn't see it.
Everyone's like, and then it falls apart.
Yeah, it's a disaster. First 49 to 50 to 51% of that movie is solid,
and then
it just goes in the toilet. So that's that. Okay, adapted screenplay is a little more complicated because you have a lot of really good movies here. You got The Big Short, Brooklyn, which is lovely, great little movie.
Brooklyn is so celluloid, Hollywood, right? It's just it's too much for me. I don't know. Like I watched that trailer.
Warm your heart.
I watched that trailer and I'm just like, I don't think I can make it through this.
No, it's sweet. Did you see it, Russell?
No, I didn't see it.
It's a sweet little movie. It really is. The Martian is terrific. I love The Martian, and Room is very heavy and great. Room is quite good. But I think the winner here for Best Adapted Screenplay is The Big Short.
Okay.
Because I think that the Academy likes The Big Short, and I'll tell you why. Again, let's think about who these people are. These are people who are all, by most accounts, rich, but they're not mega super rich. And what do rich people hate more than anything? People who are richer than them.
Yeah.
And so these are all guys who have been to parties at, studio heads' houses.
Sure.
They've been to Jeffrey Katzenberg's house. They've been to Rupert Murdoch's house, and they've been like, "Oh, this guy's a real fucking richie. I wish I'm so close, but I'm not." And they hate getting screwed. So this is a movie about people getting screwed out of their money. They probably all had something in the market in 2008.
Yeah, they did.
This movie hits them in the gut.
Yeah.
It also happens to be quite good. I mean,
Yeah.
it has that going for it. But I think The Big Short is really going to resonate with people.
Okay.
So
it also feels like, I don't remember, did Moneyball win? Do you remember who was up? When?
I don't think it did.
Yeah. I don't
Okay,
know.
but it feels like that sort of like logistics movie of like
Yes.
nitty gritty tends to do well in this
Yeah,
category.
it's-
Like an Aaron Sorkin-y type movie.
Yeah. And this is very fun. And what's great about The Big Short is there have been a number of movies about the 2008 financial collapse. Margin Call, Arbitrage, a few others, 99 Homes.
Yeah.
They're all a little didactic. They're all a little preachy. Big Short's really funny, but also really explains, like, I can usually never understand these things. This is why.
But it's a good sort of like 101.
Yeah. Oh, it's really
Yeah.
funny. There are great
Yeah.
moments of Ryan Gosling like turning to the camera and explaining how things work. And there's a famous bit of Margot Robbie. He's about to explain some very, complex economic theory. And he says, "Well, rather than me explain it, here's Margot Robbie in a bubble bath, and she'll explain it to you."
That's cool.
So it's like, and there's a lot of these funny scenes in it like that. So
That's cool.
I'm giving Big Short for Best Adapted Screenplay a solid 86% chance of winning.
Mark it
Very
down,
good.
86.
And then the fallback would probably be The Martian.
Oh, well, okay. I'm okay with that
Yeah, Martian.
because I didn't read the book, but I know people love it.
Yeah.
And it's
I
supposed to be
feel-
very true to the
and-
book.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the vibe I got.
Did you not like the movie?
Yeah, I liked it. but-
So I'm watching this movie on a plane, and I'm
Oh,
like,
well,
which is fine, because
yeah,
then usually movies on planes are better than they really are.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, the hell is this movie doing in any conversation? I found it
Really?
entertaining, but I'm just like, this movie is just okay. I don't know.
I was very engaged with it. I liked. People took a lot of
this-
issue with the lack of tension in the movie, but I liked the
I
fact
was
that
tense. Yeah.
It was a little tense.
But it was more about like, oh, you feel like this guy's very capable and he's gonna like
right,
do
but
it
like,
right.
I don't know. I think my biggest problem is like, dude, stop being so relaxed, man. Like, you're on a planet by yourself. This is awful.
Yeah, but you can't maintain that level of tension for someone
And
for 300 days.
I get
souls.
it, and I get it, and I understand like the psychological evaluations that astronauts go through to
Sure.
ensure that they can
yeah,
handle.
these are not normal men. These are great men,
They can
Do
handle
they have
space travel.
They have a capsule in their like helmet to kill themselves.
What? That's a weird question, but probably a good one.
I don't.
like a cyanide thing.
I remember when I was watching Gravity and a little bit this too. I was like, is there like
So like when Clooney goes out into
that's
space,
the-
he's
Yeah.
like, wouldn't you just rather do that instead of
of
suffocate?
starve to death?
Instead of suffocate.
I
Suffocate,
feel like,
right.
well, he could probably just take off his helmet though.
Yeah.
But that's active. You
But,
gotta,
and
like-
that would be active, and it would be a
that's like
terrible death.
Yeah, 15 seconds of really not fun.
Yeah, that's just like
well,
I don't know. We'll have to look into
I have
it.
to ask an astronaut. There's
this is a great question.
you got to ask an astronaut.
Yeah.
I don't know. What you said though about being in the conversation, that's kind of how I feel about Mad Max.
Really?
Really?
So you like Martian better than Mad Max?
Yeah, I like Martian a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so now we're done.
Interesting.
We're done with page 2. All right, let's now go to page 1.
Okay, the primo categories.
Here we go.
There's so many to talk
Let's
about.
see.
We did costume design already.
Right.
Okay, animated feature film. Get out your keys. It's a lock for Inside Out. Although I got to say 2 things. Shaun the Sheep is freaking fantastic.
I do like pretty much all their stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm not surprised that it's
Aardman.
really good.
Shaun the Sheep is really quite innovative. You're looking at me like I'm saying something crazy. But
I've
Shaun-
never heard of it. What is
Do you
it?
know
Well, it's-
Aardman? They did
it's,
Wallace and Gromit.
Wallace
Yes,
and Gromit.
the clay
Yeah.
looking sort of stuff.
Shaun the Sheep is very popular in the UK, and little kids like Shaun the
Yeah.
Sheep
Okay.
here in the States. It's basically a silent film. There's no
Yeah.
dialogue in it, and it's like watching Buster Keaton. It's
Is
hilarious.
that penguin in it? I like that penguin.
I don't think so.
Okay.
No. But basically, it's kind of like Babe Pig in the City. It's
Sure.
they go to town to save the farmer, and it's like the sheep and all of his animal friends. It's ridiculous, but it's like a lot of silly situations with claymation, no dialogue. It's very, very clever.
I love that stuff.
in
Yeah.
a way that British films frequently are.
Yeah.
Sure. Great.
Shaun the Sheep is great. Boy in the World is a Brazilian film, very psychedelic and crazy. When Marnie was there, I believe it's Japanese. I don't do Japanese animation, so I didn't watch it.
Okay.
And I'm Elisa is the other one.
I
Which
saw
is,
that.
It's very good.
It's very good.
Yeah, it's not going to win, but it's good.
I listened to an interview with Kaufman on Mark Maron's podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was after I had seen Anomalisa, and I'm like trying to like really get, because I love that guy's stuff. I'll continue to watch everything he writes and directs until the end of time. There was something about Anomalisa, and I get it, and I totally understand. This is a film that uses marionettes and is insanely human to the point where like it almost transcends what a normal drama would have been, especially contextually talking about what this film is about, where it's just like a night in a hotel is all this movie is. I don't know, like the first half hour of that movie, I understand it's specifically designed to put you into the sense of like, well, this is what we're dealing with. It's just this guy. I don't know. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think there were parts of it where I was just like, I wish it would do more of X. And
you know what? It's a very innovative, and I liked it, but I don't think it sticks to the ribs that much.
Yes.
I kind of was wowed when I watched it, and like 2 weeks later, I'm like, oh, that was an interesting, small little movie. Did you see it, Russ?
No, I didn't. But that's
and
what
the
I've
animation
heard about
is fantastic.
Oh, the animation's great, and just so the shtick is the main character is voiced by David Thewlis. The gal that he meets is Jennifer Jason Leigh, but everybody else in the world is voiced by Tom Noonan.
Right.
And Tom Noonan plays men, women, old people, young people, imaginary people, and that's cool. Yeah. And it's just it's about a depressed guy spending the night in a Cincinnati, Ohio hotel room, and he thinks he falls in love, but no, he's just a mope. And it's a very interesting movie. But
and it was a play first, I believe.
Well, I think he wrote it as like a radio play or something.
Like a theater of the
mind.
mind.
And they said if you're going to, they wanted him to make it as a movie. He goes, well, if I'm going to do what I want to do with stop animation puppets.
Yeah.
And then like a really cool guy. And so like, who's going to give him money to do that? There's a very interesting producer out there. What the hell's his name? Calder. Keith Calder is his name. He's a very wealthy man. He's the heir to a fortune. And he's like a benefactor, and he's like, all right, here's a bunch of money, and that's how the movie got made. Well, it takes one guy with a lot of money to do it, otherwise
it was crowdfunded a little bit too.
Yes, it was crowdfunded to get it going, and then Calder came in and was like, all right, here you go,
here you go, I'll put you over the top.
Yeah, but Inside Out is special.
It's really fantastic. It was fantastic.
Yeah,
I was really blown
it's special, and I think it actually is from its abstract ideas to its execution. To just the visual look,
and also that you don't really know where it's going from a theme standpoint. Like you don't understand what is the win in this scenario. Like it's just like, how is this going to turn out? Okay,
and it's very mature. Like it's a very good movie to watch with like kids and like help them get through life. Like,
I've heard great stuff. I got to see it.
Oh yeah, it's like the basic shtick that Russell's pointing to is that like when you're a parent or you're just thinking about kids in general, you want them to be happy and you're always trying to protect them. But that's not life, and there's sadness in the world, and it's only by embracing. I sound like a child psychologist, but it's only by embracing.
But I believe you.
It's only by embracing sadness and working through it that you can grow. And this movie was vetted by 1,000 psychologists, right?
Yeah.
But it's really good, and it deserves
very thoughtful. It's a very it doesn't seem like it, but it's a very challenging thing that they're pulling off.
And very funny also.
Very funny, sad, very, very sad at times, very relatable. I thought it was I think definitely their best Pixar movie in many years. I can't remember what the one before that was that I liked as much. Up, I guess, maybe before that.
Yeah, Up. Or WALL-E is pretty good.
I forgot.
Yeah. And someone told me, like, Jeff, you should just see it because there's like a hockey scene in it.
Hockey
plays a big part of it.
Yeah. See? So that's
Hockey
important. It's important.
No, hockey is key to is a very key symbol in the film.
Okay, great.
And
Richard Kind is excellent.
Yeah, Richard.
Oh,
Kind
I love him.
Yeah. It's a solid movie. Quite frankly, I think it should be one of the nominated Best Pictures.
Yeah, how come that never happens?
Oh, it does.
Yeah?
Occasionally, yeah.
It didn't happen.
What was the last time? It was a Pixar movie the last time, right?
Maybe Toy Story.
Up.
I think Up was nominated.
Or maybe WALL-E. I forget. One of those. Maybe both.
So what do they do? They say, okay, you're going to win Best Animated and potentially Best Picture as well.
It can happen.
Yeah,
there have been foreign films that have been in both categories.
Gotcha.
But not this time. So that's animated. Let's talk best documentary real quick.
Yeah.
The winner will be Amy.
Yeah, I saw some of that.
Yeah, Amy is a very good movie, and it's a movie that I didn't even want to see.
Oh, that's the Amy Winehouse.
Yeah.
It's about a documentary Amy Winehouse, and I'm like, yeah, Amy Winehouse was great, and she got drunk and died. What the hell? Like, what do I need to know? There are two things that are great about it. One is that she lived a hell of a life.
Yeah.
Very interesting person, and the way this movie is made is incredible. It's entirely taken from pre-existing footage.
Right.
Some of it is like when she's on the MTV Awards, and most of it is from her friends and herself. She was of this era, so she had her iPhone out, maybe not iPhone, but she had her high 8 camera, her Panasonic high 8 camera. And so like there she is as a 14-year-old girl, before she, started that hard living. This sweet kid singing songs.
The great tragedy, and I thought that was like the most kind of humanizing element of the whole thing. I mean, my problem, I really did love her. I thought she was like this incredible talent. But the tragic thing was like everyone knew this was not going to end well.
It was like self-fulfilling prophecy, and the finger is pointed at all of us in the media and all of us who clicked on links of like, look at the shit Amy did this week,
right.
And it's to make you feel bad, and we should feel bad because
we did this.
Well, we did. The media chewed her up and shat her out, and she died. God, she was really young, and it could have been saved. It could have been saved
totally
if it weren't for our current culture. And there's a key moment in the film where there was an opportunity. Well, you know it in the song Rehab.
Sure.
Yeah.
They tried to make me go to rehab, and I said, what did she say?
No.
Said no.
She said no. And that's a very specific point in her life when it was, do you go and record this new album, or do you get your shit together? And she was advised by her scumbag father to have a few drinks and go make your album. And as soon as she started recording that second album, she was on a freight train. It never stopped.
Yep.
Partying and then promotion and then her awful husband. And she never took a breath until she died.
Yeah.
So Amy is, but if it was just like a typical documentary, I would say it's not the winner. Much like down the list, there's another musician's documentary called What Happened, Miss Simone, about Nina Simone, who's a wonderful person, but that's a more traditional documentary with talking head interviews and clips, and it's slower paced. Amy is very new in the way it's done because of the gimmick of using found footage in this manner. So I think that Amy does deserve the win. Two other movies on here one other one that's a possibility. So I'm giving Amy an 80%.
Okay.
The other 20 goes to something called Cartel Land, which has been advertised on Netflix for the last year, it feels like, and it's about all the mishigas going on with Mexico and all that horrible stuff. There's another very interesting movie on here, which I don't think will win, called The Look of Silence, which is just so bananas. Have you heard about this one?
No, I haven't.
All right, very quickly.
Glasses are coming off.
Yeah, it's difficult. The Look of Silence will not win, and I don't think it should, because it's not even like a regular movie. It's just this weird experiment. It's actually kind of a sequel to another movie called The Look of Silence, which
sounds like a Yoko Ono.
This is The Look of Silence.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's a sequel to something called The Act of Killing. Excuse me.
Okay.
Basically, in the 1960s, Indonesia had a revolution that did not go over very well, and about 1 million people were killed. And it's terrible what happened.
But it gets better.
No. It's so awful to think about. So basically, there were these gangs where people were just like on the government's behest, just like kill their neighbors in horrible, gruesome ways. And then when it was over, they all just went back to their lives. And the country has never really dealt with this
or acknowledged it
even. So, and you kind of can't. Like, there's a lot of people in the credits of these movies that are anonymous.
Interesting.
So basically, the main guy in The Look of Silence is, I don't know how old he is, but he is an ophthalmologist. And he's in his little town, and he's doing, checking out people's eyes. And he's like, "Oh, by the way, you murdered my brother." And they're like, "What? No, I didn't. I did no such thing." He's like, "No, we kind of know." And confronting people, but it's done in such a brazen way, and it's all very quiet and weird. And you watch this movie, and you're like, "What the hell am I seeing?" It's just so strange and uncomfortable. That's what it is. It's a very uncomfortable movie.
Sure,
but sometimes it's good, right?
Yeah, no. This is an important thing that it grows out of like the specificity of Indonesia into just like man's inhumanity to man. It's a very big, heavy movie.
Yeah.
But done in a very quiet and weird and interesting way. And I think, and this is definitely available on all the streaming platforms. You should check it out. But you'll be watching and be like, this can't be real. Like what I'm seeing, this can't be real. And it's just so horrible. So this and The Act of Killing are both, eye-opening. Nevertheless, I don't see the Academy picking that one. I think you're going to get Amy for Best Documentary.
And I feel like I've seen a lot of Winter on Fire ads. Where is it, like a CNN movie or something?
Yes, I think it is.
That's what I.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's a contender.
Yeah.
I think
It's like a protest.
Yeah, well,
doc.
it's about Ukraine.
Yeah.
Winter on Fire. Ukraine's fight for freedom.
All right.
Okay, so shall we talk about cinematography?
Yes, because this is the one category that when I was watching the movie, I was like, not even a question. There's no doubt in my mind.
The Revenant.
Revenant.
The Revenant's
Revenant is the most outrageous. I was watching every single scene in that movie. You're like, how the hell did they shoot this scene?
Really? Is it the same DP as Birdman?
Yes. It's a fellow by the name of Emmanuel Lubezki, and
it is unreal how they shot this.
Yeah. The only negative to The Revenant is that the guy,
and it's gorgeous, but
the only negative to this category is that he's won the last 2 years.
Right.
But I just was listening to somebody saying that Oscar voters like to be part of history.
Mm-hmm.
So like 3 years in a row, like maybe that's worth
I helped
it for
make
him.
that happen.
He's the Jordan of cinematography.
What was before Birdman? What did he win?
Gravity.
Oh,
and he's also shot
baller.
25 of the greatest. He's a genius.
Yeah.
So it'll win and probably should win. The only potential, I'm going to give that a 97% lock. The 3% is Sicario, which neither of you saw, is also brilliantly photographed, and the guy who did it is the anti-Jordan. His name is Roger Deakins. He's been nominated maybe 10 times.
Wow, man.
And he's never won.
And
he's not a young man.
What kind of, is he like a Michael Mann type movie director?
He's done most of the Coen Brothers stuff.
Coen Brothers stuff.
Assassination of Jesse James.
Sure.
Skyfall, which is really cool looking.
Yeah, gorgeous.
He never won. He's been nominated for all of them.
Okay.
So there's definitely a lot of people who are like, oh boy, we should probably give it to Roger Deakins soon.
Sure.
We're going to have egg on our faces when he never wins. But I think,
holy cow, Revenant!
I think
there's a fight action scene in the beginning of that movie where you've got like a close up shot on a guy, and suddenly the camera's on a horse without even cutting, and the horse is riding through this flaming thing in the water.
And they did that.
I don't know how, like, what.
I mean, there's movie magic and everything, but
for sure.
But the thing that they did,
I was watching for cuts, and like, if there are cuts, they did it so brilliantly.
Well, that's what Birdman. Birdman, there's tons of stuff.
No,
like
but
that.
Birdman, it's way more obvious.
No,
they're like going to a room,
of course, but I still think there's stuff in Birdman that you would be surprised happened.
Sure, but also the thing about Revenant is it's the natural splendor,
right?
And when they did it all, a lot of it at what's called Magic Hour,
right.
So like it's like you got to do it now, or you do it tomorrow.
Right.
You know,
and
get it done.
They traveled 3 hours to start shooting every day. And
I didn't see this movie.
Well,
yet.
I'll tell you something.
I want to.
Didn't particularly like the movie.
Okay,
I sort of feel the same way. I think
it's a B- of a movie.
Yeah, it's a very simple story.
Yeah.
It's a very, the story itself. The performances are good. They're solid performances, but certainly not like my favorite Leonardo DiCaprio performance ever. But I think it's more certainly the cinematography is outstanding, spectacular, and I definitely think it deserves. But for the other categories, I agree. Like, I think it's going to have a tough time.
Well,
except for Best Actor, he's going to.
Yeah, so I think for cinematography, we should go with Revenant with an understanding that there's a possibility for a Sicario
just
upset.
as a legacy.
Could sneak in there.
Yeah. Also for Revenant, DiCaprio, for all the reasons we mentioned earlier, is a super lock.
Yeah.
Put that down at 110%.
No question.
Wow.
Which
I wonder what the money line is.
which is interesting because a lot of these other performances are good. Fassbender is quite good in Steve Jobs.
I didn't see it.
It's not such a hot movie, but he's good in it. Steve Jobs. You know what's funny about Steve Jobs? Much like Apple products themselves, there's a lot about Steve Jobs which is outstanding, and a lot of it's really frustrating. But and then Eddie Redmayne in The Danish Girl is good too. But I think he won last year.
Right.
He's actually not campaigning
Okay.
He's like, I won last year. Give me a
Yeah,
Yeah, I've had my moment.
I had my moment. It's Leo's year. Like, leave me alone. So he's sort of out of it.
And again, I mean,
I feel like everyone in
can you
that
at least
category.
give me the agreement that like Matt Damon's got no business being on this list.
No, I think he's quite good in this movie.
I thought he was
holds
good.
the movie.
He plays Matt Damon.
Matt Damon's cool. I like that guy.
Yeah, but Matt Damon was just Matt Damon
You don't need to
in The
be.
Martian.
Well, that's the question, right? Do you need to be a splashy, scenery-chewing
No,
character?
but you have to
Or can
act,
you be?
like, to me, look, I get
Well, that's
it. Like,
the character. He's a little bit of a
Right.
bro. He's a little bit of a cool, funny guy. Like who? Like let's.
He's the guy you'd have a drink
What?
with.
What if it was Michael Fassbender in the Martian?
then he would have been miscast.
And
Right.
I,
Like that's my thing.
well,
like,
but I would also say like he's not Jason Bourne in this movie.
he's
He doesn't-
not.
He's not.
But
that.
he's
with his poo.
right. Yeah, and
right.
And I guess he's not the guy he plays in like the Ocean's movies either.
No.
but he's
Well,
but
a little
he's,
bit actually.
A little bit. But like, I don't know. I didn't think it was. It didn't feel like a super challenging acting role.
No.
But I don't think that's necessarily
Like I don't think this guy like went to NASA
Right.
and was like, "How do I act
No,
like you?"
But I think what you got to understand is like he is,
And I
most
like
of the
him.
He's like 90% of
Yeah.
the movie is like you gotta.
it's like a one-man show.
He's got to
Sure.
hold it. He's got to
Yeah.
be. He's got to hold your attention. He's got to get you motivated. When he's frustrated, you have to feel it.
Yeah.
I think in terms of how do we judge good acting? I don't know. That's sort of a
course.
crazy thing.
Yeah.
I think by most measures he did quite well. And
this is like the most divided I've ever been because I usually fall right in line where I call movies like
Yeah.
the second I see I'm like, oh, like Birdman, I was like, that movie's gonna win an Oscar, like
Yeah.
like right away.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like I'm really good at that.
Yeah.
This was the one where I'm just like
Wow.
Was
throw
there
it in the
turbulence when you're
Well,
watching
I don't
it?
No.
think I don't think it's going to win anything.
No.
So you don't have to worry. But I think that it's good, and I actually of the Best Picture nominees is one of my favorites. Believe it or
Okay.
not. But we're going to get to that in a moment.
Yeah.
So we covered cinematography, and we've already talked lead actor. That's Leo.
Leo.
Let's talk about supporting actor.
Okay.
That's going to be Sly.
Ooh.
It's going to be Sly.
wow.
I feel very strongly about this because this is one of the few movies that I've seen.
I don't think it's a very good movie.
I do not think
but
it's a very good
he's
movie.
good in it.
I don't think he's that good in
You
it.
have no hope.
Hey, look in the mirror there.
That's the thing. They give him
All right,
all
let's-
of the Oscar.
Let's go down.
things.
Let's go down the road.
Okay, fine.
Okay, Christian Bale
But
in The
that-
Big Short. He's actually I like The Big Short a lot.
Sure.
Christian Bale's not so hot in it.
Okay.
His he doesn't wear shoes. Big deal.
So this is the other movie. Tom Hardy is the
Tom
other
Hardy,
movie
The
I
Revenant,
saw.
is not.
I mean, he's just
mumbles.
kind of like a twirling a mustache.
I'm
bad
starting to
guy.
think Tom Hardy like can't speak correctly.
No, he's never.
Every
he
movie
never
he's
talks.
in, Mad Max, he had 7 words.
Yeah.
Go. Yeah.
Bane, you can't.
He's in that
Bane is
Twins
like-
movie with the gangsters.
That
Yeah.
movie's awesome. It's not good, but it's fun to watch. He is ridiculous.
It's
in
weird.
that.
Yeah.
What's up with you, Tom Hardy?
He made a movie called Lawless where he does all the time.
So weird.
He's a weird cat. I don't think that The Revenant is for Tom Hardy.
No.
I forget that he's in there.
But I'm surprised you don't think it's going to be Ruffalo.
I don't think because it's weird to isolate Ruffalo away from everybody
Because
else.
it's an ensemble
Gotcha.
cast.
The only reason Ruffalo is in there is that he's the only one who's allowed to explode. There's a scene in the movie that a lot of critics are like, "Oh, that was the Oscar scene."
Sure. Right.
Spotlight's a pretty slick movie where it zigs where you think it's going to zag, and it's about professionals and hard work and getting the story, and everybody's working really hard. And then there's one moment where Ruffalo is like, "Man, we gotta do it. We gotta save the kids." Blah, 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 blah. And like when I saw it, and I saw a bunch of snooty film critics at the Toronto Film Festival. When I saw it, some people were kind of chuckling,
Sure.
and then after was like, here's that Ruffalo really wants that Oscar, and then lo and behold, here we are. Now, yes, that's being really jaded about things. He's really good in that scene. Like I was ready to follow him in the battle in that scene. I'm like, you got it, Mark Ruffalo, whatever you need.
Yeah.
I think that I don't think that Ruffalo is going to lose. I think that Sly is going to win. I think that Ruffalo is really good. The other one is Mark Rylance, who's terrific in Bridge of Spies, but he's a British theater actor, and who gives a shit about this?
So I was
guy?
throwing, I could see them giving. I mean, just as like a legacy thing.
You got it.
Totally.
Now, remember, who's voting? These are
Right,
older men.
exactly.
Yeah.
Sly. Did you see? So you saw Creed.
I saw Creed.
He's fighting for his life.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
adapting to the kids.
But he does have Oscars, right? Like he did
He
win
never for acting. He's won for producing. He's won for writing Rocky. He created the character.
Yeah.
And now he's bringing it all home 40 years later.
Okay.
It was just
Here's
like,
your
sure,
legacy
legacy,
Oscar.
fine.
Yeah.
Just as a performance, personally, like
It's
look,
good.
he's
It's
just like
simple.
very. It's very
It's
simple.
Rocky.
It's
a
Rocky,
dumb klutz,
which is to say, like there's not a lot of range. It's just like now I'm sick and
self-deprecating.
Fighting.
But he's like, but it's like adapting to like youth. So he's handing the torch off to a young Michael B. Jordan, African American.
But that's all story
star.
stuff. That doesn't.
Nah, but it resonates, and he's like, hey, I don't want to get back in the ring. I mean,
that's seriously the range that he's showing.
I know.
Jordan is doing a spot-on impression.
Head injury.
It works. But wait, Sly Stallone is terrible in everything except Rocky. What has he ever been good in? Copland, maybe?
What about
Rambo?
Demolition Man?
He is a joke.
Yeah,
but
you
love him. You love him. And I didn't even much care for Creed. I gave it 3 stars.
Yeah.
But the guy just, you love the guy. You want to give him a hug. You want to hang out with him.
I do, yeah.
And
he's huggable. He's huggable.
Think about who's voting for this. People, and he's been in the industry forever. He makes a lot of those shitty movies, Expendables 6. They've all worked with him. It's his time.
So this is, you're playing to the audience.
Yes.
Here. Like,
yes.
This is
and there's no clear.
There's no clear winner. And also, Ruffalo's a chancy dude. Now, can I get a little political on this?
Sure.
Ruffalo's a little bit too left wing for some of these voters.
He's very outspoken.
He's very outspoken. He's not.
Okay. I understand.
He kind of, on Twitter, it seems like he does the cause of the week kind of thing.
Yeah, I knew what you were saying.
I just whispered something.
You didn't need to say it.
All right, so he's not gonna win because of that. Rylance, by the way, is terrific, and frankly, if I were voting, I might give it to Rylance. I don't know. Bridge of Spies is not a great movie, but Rylance is terrific.
Okay. Should I see Bridge of Spies?
Yeah, it's good. It's a little slow and boring, but it's good.
Oh, it's good. It's not,
but it's smart. It's a smart movie. It's good. The ending is a little.
I just love Tom Hanks. Man.
Yeah, it's good. It's a B+. It's a good B+. Right. And Rylance is great in every scene. He's a true supporting actor.
Yeah.
Because when he's not on screen, you're like, bring that other guy back.
Yeah,
that guy's great. And then he comes in and he knocks it out of the park. Yeah.
Okay.
And he's relatively unknown to film. He's won every award in Britain for his, plays, but plays, give me a break.
Yeah.
I think Stallone. And you know what?
Throw a percentage out.
Give it 87% for Stallone.
Okay, right. Pretty high.
Let's pivot into actress for supporting.
This is one of the ones I just don't know.
Wow.
It's stuck between 2 people. It's not going to be Rooney Mara for Carol because she's too young. That movie's too complicated, and she's not even the supporting actress. She's the lead.
Yeah.
But Cate Blanchett is also the lead, so they box each other out. It gets confusing.
Okay.
It's not Rachel McAdams from A Spotlight because she has absolutely nothing to do with the movie. She's just the extra character.
All right, so process of elimination.
Jennifer, The Hateful Eight's too difficult of a movie. It's controversial, and she's very funny in it. Quite frankly, it's not a very good performance. It's just funny.
I agree.
Yeah, she's funny. She should be happy with her nomination. Yeah. That's what she deserves. Now we get to Alicia Vikander and The Danish Girl and Kate Winslet and Steve Jobs. And I just don't know who's going to win. The problem with Alicia Vikander in The Danish Girl is that she's also really good in Ex Machina, which she's not nominated for.
Right.
Probably better in that. The Danish Girl, it's not a great movie, but she's got the better role. And in fact, what you may not know if you didn't see the movie, she actually is the title role. At one point, somebody refers to the Danish girl waiting outside. And it's her. Okay. She's kind of the lead. It's about a woman whose husband decides to change their sex. He's not the lead. She's the lead. But Kate Winslet and Steve Jobs kind of creeps up on you. At first, you don't even realize how good she is until you're kind of done with the movie. She plays Steve Jobs' work wife, Juliet Hoffman.
I don't remember.
I do not know. Did you see Steve
I didn't
Jobs?
see Steve.
Okay. I forget her name, but she's a real person. What's funny is that the movie's cut up into 3 parts, and she's Polish, I think, or something.
Okay.
But she only has her accent in 2 of the 3 parts, which you would think would automatically make her a non-contender. But she's still pretty damn good in it. Now, then there's the stupid reason why she might win. Because Leo's going to win.
Oh, no. That is a colossally stupid reason.
That's not going to happen.
But these are morons who are voting. And I think that I think that there's some of that, let's bring the magic back.
Oh, God.
There are people who are going to be on the fence between Alicia and Kate. And because of Leo, they're going to give it to Kate.
That is so awful.
Yeah. It might happen. Alicia is also kind of a new face.
Sure.
And that may be another reason they're going to give it to Kate, because a new face is going to win for actress. We're going to get to that in a minute.
I'm glad we're really just boiling things down to their childish level. If I am a voting man, I'm going to give it a 55% win to Kate with a 45 to Alicia. Alicia, they're both really good. And if I were choosing, I don't know who I would choose. Wow.
I think it's going to be Kate Winslet for Steve Jobs. Also, they want to give Steve Jobs a little. That movie was a good, it didn't make any money.
Sure.
Yeah.
But they like everybody involved.
Right.
And they like Kate Winslet. I like Kate. I think it's going to be her. I really do.
like Kate Winslet in Eternal Sunshine.
She's wonderful.
Yeah.
She's a wonderful person.
She's a very good actress.
I think that they're going to give it to her. But if it's Alicia Vikander, I'm also, I'm pretty split. But I don't think it's going to be one of the other three. Okay. Now we're really closing it in now on the end. Let's go to Best Actress. And I think this is pretty close to a lock here. I think the lock is Brie Larson for Room for a number of reasons.
What I've heard as well.
First of all, she's terrific and deserves it. That's number one.
That's nice.
First and foremost.
Finally.
She's terrific and she deserves it. Two, Best Actress has frequently been a launching pad for a new face. Brie Larson is not that famous.
Sure.
For up until recently, I was confusing her with Alison Brie. Okay. But Brie Larson and Alison Brie are two different people.
Yes.
And this is a hell of a movie. Now, Room is a depressing movie, but it's very good. The premise.
The premise.
It's
locked in a
terrible
house.
And she holds it. And it goes in places you don't expect. I don't want to give away the ending, but where another movie would end, Room has another 40 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
And those 40 minutes are like, what happens after a happy ending? Well, it's not so easy, you know. And she nails it. She's great. It's going to be her. And just to go down, Jennifer Lawrence has won before. Joy is kind of a mess. Kate Blanchett is quite good, and Carol, she's great, but you got the problem of her and Rooney Mara knocking each other out.
Sure.
Gotcha.
And Kate's won before. So Charlotte Rampling, nobody saw 45 Years. It's very, very good.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh,
45 years? What is that?
Oh, it's a British movie.
Okay.
Oh, dig this.
Okay.
Here we go.
Married couple.
Yeah.
Childless, happy. They're intellectuals living in a farm somewhere near a university town.
Okay.
They're older.
Yeah.
He's 71, she's 69, give or take, maybe a little bit less. They're about to celebrate their 45th wedding anniversary. They never had a party for the 40th wedding anniversary because somebody got sick or something.
Okay.
They're about to throw a big party. It's in 3 days. Okay. It's Charlotte Rampling as the woman, and if you don't know her name, if you Google her, you recognize her face.
Okay.
It's Tom Courtenay as the man. If you don't know his name, you Google him, you recognize the face. And they're preparing for the party, and they're going through the mail. Let's see, old British couple going through the mail. And he gets a note, and he says, oh, my God, they found her body. And when he was a young man, before he married Charlotte Rampling, he was engaged to another woman, and there was a weird skiing accident, and she fell in a crevasse in Switzerland and died.
Okay.
And they never found the body. And so, but he moved on with his life, married this other woman. And now, right before the wedding anniversary, Charlotte Rampling realizes that she spent her whole life as second prize to the man that she loves.
So she didn't know.
No, she knew, but it was like, oh yeah, you were dating somebody else. But
she
now realizes, my husband has been pining for this dead woman his whole life, and loves me, but doesn't love me as much as, it's just weird.
It's heavy.
And then they learn something. Should I give something away midway through?
This is a pretty out there film. But still, maybe.
All right, I won't.
Yeah.
But they discover something. It's really good, and she's great. She's not going to win because she said a racist thing.
Oh,
remember
well,
that?
No,
a few months ago?
No, I didn't hear that.
She, there was the controversy about
no
African Americans. She basically said, something to the tune of if they were. I don't know. She said, I don't remember the exact quote.
It was not.
She was like, good.
She basically said something that was not. That is like, wow, that's a dumb thing to say,
Right. Who
very
cares,
racially insensitive topic.
Good. She doesn't deserve to win.
Yeah. Saoirse Ronan in Brooklyn is wonderful. I think that she's going to come in second place. She's so good in Brooklyn. She's so sweet. I love her to pieces. I don't think she's going to win.
They got to release the numbers. I want to see when this is all done. Who's second place?
That'd
I want to see
cool.
that.
I would like that.
They should do
Well,
that.
I think it should. And if I was voting, I would be torn between Brie Larson and Saoirse Ronan. But I think the smart money is on. I'm pronouncing her name wrong.
No, it's actually right. Saoirse.
Saoirse.
Is she in Budapest Hotel also?
Yeah, she's the girl in Mexico in her face.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is the name
It's
of that?
a Gaelic name, I believe. Saoirse.
Yes. Saoirse. Yeah.
What is the character's name? I forget.
remember.
But anyway.
But she's the love interest in.
Yeah.
She's,
Mendel's. She works at Mendel's.
Yeah, she works at Mendel. Brooklyn is a really great movie. It's a great movie to watch with, like, you know, if like you're with your parents and your grandparents and, you know, like, oh shit, what should we watch? I don't watch Brooklyn. You know?
That is not the.
It's old school.
Like my dad's like, that's the movie. I'm like, Dad, really, man? Like, I get it. You know, you are Mr. New York. I get it.
Yeah,
but like, come on.
It's about an Irish immigrant in 1950, whatever. She comes to New York. She falls in love with an Italian guy. It's very sweet.
Yeah,
and she's great, and it's a great movie, but. Brie Larson,
colorful, that movie. That trailer is like a rainbow. It's like ridiculous.
I'm sad that Saoirse Ronan isn't going to win because she's so great in it. But Brie Larson in Room is a little bit better. It's a little bit more special. I wish they could tie. Oh, how I wish there were ties.
Alas.
All right, so now we go to Best Picture.
No. Directing. We haven't done directing.
Oh shit.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yep.
All right. Directing, I think, is going well.
I think I'm gonna take a stab. I think Adam McKay is gonna win it.
No, I don't. I think he's gonna get his.
I think it's just amazing that like the director of Anchorman is now like.
But I think he's gonna get his screenwriting award.
You don't think George Miller would get it as a career thing?
I don't know. See, what I think is gonna happen is it's all gonna go to The Revenant.
Oh,
and I don't think it should. Now, what might happen is that director and picture will split.
Yeah.
So there's one possibility here is Best Picture, by the way, is not a lock for anything. Nobody knows.
Okay.
It's either The Big Short, The Revenant, or Spotlight.
I was going to say The Martian. We're ending it.
Bridge of Spies is good, but it's not a contender. Brooklyn is very good, and I wish it were a contender, but it's not. Mad Max is going to win all the technical stuff. The Martian I love. It's not a contender. Room should be a contender. But it isn't because they're all it's
too much.
They're all in on Brie, and the movie's very depressing.
Yeah.
So you think for directing,
what I think might happen is we're going to get a split.
Okay.
And what might happen is this, and this is where it gets complicated. And I really just don't know, and nobody knows. I think Iñárritu is going to win directing because he is sort of the only sort of maverick director right now that's making big movies that are risky
yeah,
even though the movies aren't all that good. But I think he has a lot of respect in the industry. Also,
he is the hot guy.
Yeah, there is this issue of diversity, and he is Mexican.
Yeah,
and he's the only person of color that might be up there.
He won last year.
Yeah, he did. That's the problem. It's a shame that Birdman won last year because then he'd be more of a lock for this. And I think that The Revenant is better than Birdman.
Really?
Even though I don't love The Revenant that much, I think it's kind of boring.
I disagree. I think Birdman is better.
It seems like Birdman is the more watchable movie and the more likable movie. But I haven't seen The Revenant.
Birdman moves much faster.
Birdman moves.
The Revenant's more entertaining.
Revenant's very long. The Revenant is just a guy walking around in the snow, hungry. Oh God, I need a bear liver. Oh, there's a bear liver. Yum yum yum.
It sounds like this survival video game.
It is.
I mean, it is basically like it's like you're in Minecraft and you're trying to survive.
It's like Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
So we're looking at directing. George Miller for Fury Road. I don't think so. I really don't.
But I do hear where Russ is coming from.
Because I think that George Miller gets his hat tip with all the other stuff.
Sure.
So Room, the director of that, Lenny Abramson, he's new, he's British, he's not going to win. Spotlight, I don't know. It's how
struggle a little bit.
It's not a very well direct. See, Spotlight does not have a particular visual stamp.
Okay.
The performances and the story in Spotlight are really good.
Yeah.
But
that's directing, no?
Yes, that's 2/3 of directing.
Yeah.
The other third is making a visual film, and I don't think there's nothing going on visual. It's like watching television.
Okay.
And I don't mean like new great HBO television.
That sounds like you're saying all
Channel
TV is directionless.
No, I'm saying that CSI level TV.
Whoa, we're a CBS.
Oh, I mean, hold on. So I don't think it's going to be Tom McCarthy for Spotlight.
Okay.
So, and Adam McKay gets his thing. So I think it's going to be directing is going to be Iñárritu. And now I don't know that The Revenant's going to pull off the main thing because Academy voters will respect Iñárritu for his moxie and his drive.
Right.
But a lot of these people are bored by the movie.
Yeah.
It's a boring movie.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to win the Best Picture.
Yeah.
So I think we have the possibility of Spotlight pulling away with Best Picture. But even that one doesn't have as much sizzle as it used to. And the one that won the PGA award recently, which is the Producers Guild, which is usually a very good bellwether for the Best Picture of the Oscars, was The Big Short.
Okay.
Now, here's what I'm saying. Big Short is an underdog right now.
Yeah.
But here's my thinking. It won the PGA. And remember, like I said earlier, The Big Short is going to resonate with these voters.
Yeah.
These are rich people who are angry that they lost some of their 401k not that long ago. And they get this movie. And if it were to win, it would surprise a lot of people. But I think it might just happen.
Okay.
So I don't know.
That sounds reasonable.
I don't know what to vote for. But I don't know what to put in your pool.
I mean, this is the
I
most heavily weighted category.
It's a heavily weighted category, and I'll tell you, even like the people who are Oscar bloggers, they're stumped on this one. I think maybe the smart money is still on The Revenant. That's still the odds-on favorite.
So you like that at like 51?
At 51 for The Revenant, but I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't win. For based on the fact that
I couldn't vote for a movie that
I didn't like.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
So I think a lot of these people saying we're giving it to
Leo.
Leo.
It was not over the
we're
moon.
giving it to Leo.
We're tipping our hats
giving it
enough.
to the cinematographer.
Yeah.
Right.
We're giving it to maybe even the director.
Yeah.
But maybe it's not the best picture.
Right.
So then what is? It's either Spotlight or The Big Short. And Spotlight is very good, but I think The Big Short is going to get him in
more
gut.
of a finely crafted film.
Yeah, and it's also like it's just going to resonate with them.
Yeah.
So
your vote for your Oscar pool is Big Short.
I think you put it in and then you look really smart when you win.
Yeah,
but
that's what I think.
If you put it in and you lose, don't blame me.
No, but that to me, I can see that the drama of that playing out in the way these award shows do.
It's possible that it might just win. It's also Big Short's really good, by the way. I happen to like it a lot.
Yeah, that's one I really want to see. I want to see that in Spotlight.
Yeah, Spotlight's great, but Spotlight's sort of a classical thing. It's nothing too new, but it's upsetting because it's about child abuse, so it's upsetting. Room is also quite good. I recommend everybody see Room, and Brooklyn is sweet too, as we talked about. But I think at the end of the day, I just don't. I don't.
You
see
said The Revenant, but your pick is The Big Short, and that's okay. But it should be.
I don't know. I'm split.
It's tough.
I really just don't know between The Revenant and The Big Short. So maybe Spotlight wiggles in. It's between those three.
If your pool maybe has a thing where like you can see what everyone else picked, if there's that, maybe you play it like that.
Like that and go with Big Short. But I think though, for people who have seen The Revenant, nobody loves I don't know anybody who loves The Revenant. I know people who respect it.
Right, and I've heard a lot of people echo what Russ said, where it's like, wow, this is another technical achievement.
But it's not that great
it's not very gripping.
It's certainly not entertaining. It goes on and on and on.
See, and that's why I was so bummed out, because after Birdman, that was my first introduction to Inarritu. And I'm like, this guy has this, very specific sort of vision for stuff. I dig what he's doing. Yeah. I'm gonna love this next thing. And then I'm like, oh man, that's what that movie is.
Yeah, and Big Short is entertaining, and Spotlight is uplifting. Yeah, because at the end when they get him,
it's a takedown thing. It's good.
It's a takedown thing. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be Spotlight that wins. I just don't know.
I like that Big Short call. I like that.
Yeah, I'm going with Big Short.
That's a good call.
So that's my whole pool. I mean, watch what I pick is 20% actually wins. But
well, look, we're going to grade you, and then in a couple months we'll be back.
I'm going to be really embarrassed when it's wrong, but more importantly, a lot of these are really, really good movies, and hopefully for those listening at home, you put some of these on your queue. A movie like Room is really, really good and innovative and heartfelt, and might slip through the cracks if it wasn't for the Oscar awards. You know, so something like Room, and certainly a performance like 45 Years. Some of these foreign films like Mustang and Son of Saul. These are things that you should check out. Shaun the Sheep. Check that one out. It's really good. It's really funny. So anyway, that's that.
Cool. The Oscars are on Sunday, the 28th on ABC. I have to ask you this before you leave, because I got this email about 11 times. What'd you think of Deadpool?
Oh,
I saw it with Jordan.
Yeah,
you guys saw it
together.
It. Okay.
I liked it. I don't think it's anything too memorable.
Of course, but like this has been a very sort of like specific anomaly.
Deadpool is, well, I think part of the reason it made so much money is there's nothing else going on.
Yeah. Right.
It's a dead zone right now.
Yeah, and Russ did give us his quick and dirty review.
Yeah, I mean,
last week.
it's a great movie for the 14-year-old boy inside of you. You know, it's really immature, and it's not as dirty and nasty as they say, but it's
it's certainly not kid friendly.
No,
it's a hard R, right?
It's a hard R.
Yeah, well, there's no nudity,
extreme violence.
Yeah,
that usually will do it.
And
A lot of cuss
there is,
words.
I believe, a nudity or two.
Yeah,
in-
they go to a strip club, right?
Nudity.
There is a
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's not for kids. But kids should try to sneak in because it's made for kids that just hit puberty.
Yeah, it's made for like a 15-year-old.
Yeah, it's made for.
I found it really funny.
Yeah,
I'm 32, so what do you want?
No, I liked it too. But there were people that I don't know if you heard, but when we were walking out, there was a woman that was like watching 4 episodes of Family Guy in a row, and I'm like, no, you're not wrong.
I was like, cool, sign me up.
It is very, there are some women who like. I have one critic friend who is female and was over the moon about it, and there are some women.
I saw it with my fiance, and she really loved it.
But you saw it with me.
No, after
You saw it twice.
Well, because I promised her that I would see it with her.
It's funny you bring that up because my wife was like, let's go see a movie for Valentine's Day. And I'm like, and I've convinced her to want to see Deadpool.
Sure.
Yeah.
She's known about the character for a while because I'm into him.
Yeah.
And she gets the whole, what he is.
Yeah.
And she watched a bunch of trailers. She's like, you know what? This is probably good and I'll probably like this.
Yeah.
But no, we wound up sitting at home watching a movie that is 13 years old. That has see if you can guess this.
All
It's
right.
if I feel like if I say this one thing, it'll give it away.
Yeah.
But it is a
Notebook.
13-year-old movie about romance.
Yeah.
It's one of those movies where it's like 8 different stories.
It's
it's
the British one.
It's the British
Love
one.
Actually.
Love Actually.
Okay, Love Actually is the strangest damn movie I've ever seen. I know I don't want to spend time on Love Actually, but it is also this movie that has no business being a filthy rated R movie. It's all about all these love stories, but then they're just dropping F-bombs every other second, and there's nudity, and you're like, wait a minute,
England.
Because it's so cheesy, but then they'll be like mother effer, and you're like, what? I'm being tossed in 9 different ways here.
There's
it's a
some
very
decent parts
strange
of that
movie.
Some of the storylines I like a lot.
Some of them are terrible too.
Some of them are terrible.
Yeah, if you're going to be stuck watching a movie like that, the British tend to do it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Like Notting Hill, for example.
Don't get me wrong,
and I 4 weddings and a funeral, or 3 weddings.
There's another one called I Give It a Year, which was a really clever premise.
Yeah.
It's about the opening bit is like these people falling in love and they go on their first date. It's like a montage, and then they get married and at the wedding, and then they pull back to show like the bridesmaids and the groomsmen, and they say, "Oh, I give it a year," and it turns out that they're the people who just got married are horrible for each other.
Yeah, and
the movie is about convincing them to get a divorce.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
And when they finally do it, and they fall in love with the people, it's because they were meant to be friends, not. And it's like happy ending when they get their divorce.
Yeah,
it's really kind of clever.
England.
So they seem to do it better because Love Actually feels like the movie that started the chain reaction of all these awful holiday title movies, like New Year's Day and all this stuff.
It's easy to get a bunch of big stars for a day and shoot the little scene.
And how can we interconnect these 8 little stories and that kind of thing? Yeah. But I was just like, what am I watching?
Yeah, it sure as hell ain't Deadpool. Deadpool is funny. And
charming and
charming, and if you like superhero movies, it's a little bit different.
Yeah,
I worry though that now
this is what your worry is going to happen.
Yeah, the floodgates.
They already are like they're making the next. The Wolverine movies have always been shit.
Yeah,
I think it will benefit from being violent and having but you still need a good script.
Yes, so the new Wolverine will be like, oh, we're gonna Deadpoolize Wolverine.
Right,
now we're just gonna make it bloodier.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean that would be real.
Look,
seeing Wolverine
but the thing is, Wolverine kind of his story, his comic book legacy is that he's
violent.
A brutal dude.
Yeah. And you just have, and none of the movies have really. He's like blocking people and parrying and stuff.
X-Men 2, he's straight up killing people left and right.
Yeah, but you don't see limbs coming off.
No, but when Xavier's school gets invaded, he's just straight up killing people.
I would like to see him ripped in half and then congeal back with his healing.
As he does.
That's
not how the adamantium healing thing works.
I think in the comics didn't
I don't know.
Maybe if you put
Hulk rip him in half
his
once?
feet and his legs next to each other, maybe they would reconnect.
I don't know. But
I love it. You haven't seen Deadpool.
I have not.
I don't want to give away. There's a really cool thing in Deadpool that's all about how the way they use the healing factor is some of the best
and that's a really awesome thing about that character. So, and I guess the last thing people were asking was, what are your thoughts on? Even though Russ and I kind of talked these topics to death, Batman versus Superman. Are you at all interested? Because Russ and I share zero excitement for this one.
Well, I'm one of the 5 people who really liked Man of Steel.
Okay.
I don't know why. I can't.
I don't know why. Who knows?
I really liked Man of Steel. And I think it looks bad. I think Batman versus Superman is not going.
Oh, I think that movie looks real bad.
But
I think it looks real bad
because I think the Batman stuff looks dumb.
Yeah.
And I think that Eisenberg as Lex Luthor looks dumb.
He is not a villain, really. He is so non-threatening.
Yeah.
I wish they could skip past Batman versus Superman and go straight to Wonder Woman.
And just do this Justice League thing and get it
Yeah,
over.
And Affleck's Batman movie, I'm excited for.
Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. But the Wonder Woman
Just
bits
as long
look
as Zack
really
Snyder's
cool.
not writing anything, I'm fine.
Yeah.
She's a very attractive woman.
Yeah.
And the one shot of her with the shield, you're like,
Sure.
that's Wonder Woman.
This works.
That is Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And that's new. We haven't seen.
Right. It's about time.
It's about time. And just for a woman superhero, but also for Wonder Woman. Like,
Yeah.
let's see it. That's
Let's
new.
do it. Yeah.
I think Batman versus Superman is going to make $1 billion, but I don't think it's going to be any good. I've heard from someone who read the script, and I didn't ask him what it was because I wanted to be surprised. That like the specific things that kick off some of the big action set pieces are just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
I think it's going to be a big cluster F.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I guess it's because the DC films don't have that. Kevin Feige from Marvel is sort of like the mastermind.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah.
think DC has that.
They're generally too serious. Zack Snyder has been writing a lot, and he can't do dialogue, and he can't do funny, and he's
Yeah,
just like
I don't
not
know.
a good writer.
And aside from like what the Batman alone stuff does,
Right.
The Nolan Batman stuff.
Yeah.
Aside from that, it's all kind of a mess.
Well, I mean, I do like Man of Steel though.
They just don't know how to ground their characters. That's the struggle they've had. Is like, how do you make this sort of like, relatable, quasi relatable? And Batman's done it. The Nolan movies did it really well, but all the other ones, like Superman, like he's got like fucking every power.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a little too serious. I don't know. I'm excited. It's coming up soon.
It
is,
I
in
mean,
a month,
I
yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if they're showing it to some people already. But I haven't. I don't know. I suspect it's not going to be very good. But you never can tell. And Zach, maybe some of the action scenes are going to be nifty. I mean, some of Snyder's stuff is cool. I don't know. I hope it's going to be good. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, we look forward to your review, sir.
Yes,
indeed.
yes, and there's more, sort of tentpole-y stuff that is going to be better this year. I think Civil War is going to be good. I think the new Star Trek movie is going to be fun. I don't think it's going to be good, but I think it's going to be a load of fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
And can you believe we're getting another Star Wars movie this
I know.
year?
Oh no.
Yeah.
20
Yeah,
seconds.
no.
Oh, it's
Rogue-
the Rogue.
Rogue
the
Leader.
Rogue.
Yeah,
thing,
but like that's a Star Wars. Like
It's
it
crazy.
seems weird.
Yeah, it's
like
really interesting.
we went from 0 to 60 of like no Star Wars to
Yep.
like they're coming every year now. Like we're gonna get sick of Star Wars.
It's gonna happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just the way we're all sick of like in the gaming world, like there's these games that come every year
Yeah.
with like Call of Duty and
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed. We're kind of sick of that, and now it's kind of gonna happen.
Feast
with
or
some of these.
famine.
Indeed.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure, sir.
Thank you.
What's your next review coming out? Can you talk about that? Or no?
I just reviewed for The Guardian some not so hot movies. A movie called Race about the Jesse Owens story, which
Okay.
is okay. Movie called Risen. Do you know about this one?
Oh,
I
I
do
saw
not.
that. I saw your review for that.
The trailer. It's CSI Jerusalem. It's well, the shtick. It's a really great elevator pitch. That's not a good movie, but God bless the guy who came up with this idea. What a great idea! Bible movie, right?
Yeah.
The story has been told 100,000 times. What's a new spin on the Bible movie? Okay, so to those who believe, Jesus Christ was died on the cross, and 3 days later, he left. He rose from the dead, and he left the tomb, and he did his thing.
Yeah.
So this probably, although it's never discussed in the gospel and has never been shown in a film before, freaked the Romans out.
Yeah.
Because this was a guy that
Zombie.
Well, no, but from like a political standpoint,
Sure.
the reason they killed him was that he was causing trouble.
Like,
for
what
the
are you
Romans.
doing here?
No, it's like get that guy.
Yeah.
So so Joseph Fiennes plays like he's like a police detective.
Yeah.
He's a centurion. Blah blah blah. And Pontius Pilate's like, you find me this Nazarene. He's like, I can't find him. It's like, get that freaking
That's
Nazarene.
crazy.
So it's a detective
Interesting.
movie.
Yeah.
Of him.
Interesting.
The problem is, apart from it being a very low budget movie with bad acting, is that it is produced by a faith-based film. So it's really just a springboard for people to give their speeches about how Christ's teachings saved them, and
Yeah.
it's a fundamentalist film.
Yeah.
It could have been a really cool detective story
Idea, yeah.
set in ancient Canaan or Judea or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, next week I'm reviewing come on, Eddie the Eagle.
Oh,
and
right.
the new sequel to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Oh, nice.
Which is going direct to Netflix. But, you can read my reviews on theguardian.com.
There you have it. Follow on Twitter. What's your handle again?
J Hoffman. All JHOFFMAN.
Very good.
And we will link to that in the show notes.
Sure.
That will do it for us. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Thanks, Jordan.
Love covering all this stuff. We're back next week with a brand new show. Shoot us an email, the44@cnet.com. As always, the voicemail number is 866-404-CNET. And we'll be back next week with a brand new show. Until then, I'm Jeff Bakalar.
I'm Russ Frushtick.
And that's Jordan Hoffman. Thank you so much, sir. Yes. We'll see you next time. This has been the 404 Show, high tech, low brow.